What's happening, fellas? We are back. There's a whole lot going on in the world of sports right now. We're going to be tackling some playoff best ball drafts, answering some Week 14 fantasy football questions. As a Toronto Blue Jays fan, I'm on Shohei Ohtani watch right now. We have the college football awards being announced as well for the Bolitnikov and all that stuff. Malik Neighbors absolutely robbed. We had Bobcat in the chat tip us off to that pre-recording, so we went back and checked on it. But anyways, we are going to get into an Underdog Fantasy draft here because I'm in Montreal, Quebec for my girlfriend's at a Christmas party for her new workplace. So I'm just chilling here in the hotel streaming some drafts because I'm a DGen, as you guys
I'm jealous.
are firmly aware. So I'm going to join up a gauntlet draft. Again, if you guys want to join in here, just head to the Underdog Fantasy lobby. It's a $25 entry, playoff best ball. We'll talk about all the playoff best ball kind of strategy and stuff throughout this stream. Should be like the first kind of introduction of the year to playoff best ball. I would say if you guys are in an eligible place to draft playoff best ball teams, probably not the most optimal strategy to draft a bunch of these now. It's probably smarter to, spread them out, maybe save them a little bit later on. But yeah, it should be quite fun here. So we got two more spots in here. If you guys want to join up on Underdog, you guys know the drill. If you are somehow new to the stream or new to the channel, that is our link to play Underdog Fantasy. You get 100% back up to $100, and you can join in these drafts. So if you wanted to put in $100, you would have 200 on the site to work with, and you can do 8 of these playoff best ball drafts, and they make the NFL playoffs way more fun.
Oh yeah, no, they're a ton of fun to do. I am a little bit jealous right now. I can't wait until we're back in Buffalo next week so I can get some skin in the game. But yeah, I mean, playoffs are on the corner. Obviously, maybe you don't want to make the playoffs, but from my perspective, just mapping out the potential scenarios, mapping out the potential wild card round, how everything could set up is a really fun exercise we do every year at this point.
Oh yeah. It's going to be pretty fun talking through some of this stuff because when you're doing the drafts this early, you kind of really have to galaxy brain scenarios in which you're going to be right for some of your takes because you want to structure these teams properly to the point that the ultimate goal of this. If you guys are completely new to this contest, you have no idea what the hell this is. It's basically a best ball tournament where you have 10 roster spots, and essentially the goal is to predict who's in the Super Bowl. But there's a number of intricacies that play in because, of course, in the AFC and the NFC, one team will be on bye in each conference, and you're trying to advance the team to the Super Bowl that's most likely to get there, which would be the team that's on bye typically because they skip the first round of the playoffs. And then you're also factoring in you got to score fantasy points in that first round. You got to finish in the top 2 of your 6-man draft in each of the rounds, which is a nice change up from last year when it was actually you had to be 1 in the first round, which meant it was really difficult, obviously, to get those first round bye players on your team, especially knowing that the Eagles and Chiefs both had a bye and they ended up making the Super Bowl. So that's really challenging this year. It's all about working through those intricacies. And as of right now, when I'm drafting these, we don't know who's going to have the bye, right? It's like a 35, 32, and 30% chance that it's the Dolphins, Ravens, and Chiefs in the AFC side of things. On the NFC side of things, it's about a 60% chance the Eagles will have it, about a 45 or 40% chance that the 49ers will have it. There's still like a above a 5% chance that the Cowboys or Lions could get it. So it's going to be really interesting working through some of this stuff because you do want to worry about who's going to play who in these rounds of the playoffs because you don't want to stack up 7 players from the NFC that are going to play in the first round because that would obviously be counterproductive.
Yeah, 100%. So if we're mapping it out right now, depending on who let's just say hypothetically we're doing a Cowboys team and you wanted, that first round type of matchup, typically you're not going to be drafting Buccaneers or Saints or Falcons knowing inherently that, hey, if I'm stacked up on Cowboys, if I'm drafting too many players on this team, I'm not going to be able to advance many players to the next round. So instead, maybe you go for Packers or Rams or Vikings to avoid that first round matchup.
Yeah, for sure. And you even want to think about it into the second round as well. We do have a super chat here from Christian. He says, "Wait, you're Canadian? Why have I been taking anything you say seriously?" I don't know. Honestly, I think this just proves that Canadians can talk fantasy football if you weren't aware, and we just we changed your mind on it. Anyways, Cody says
real quick, I'm surprised, Christian. I'm surprised you couldn't tell from the accent.
For Danny specifically, I don't know. I don't think I have a Canadian accent. Apparently I do, but
You
I
do.
think the second people hear you, they assume you're Canadian. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I kind of got the like the Southern Ontario accent going.
Yeah. Cody says, "Sup, boys? Do you think Marvin Harrison will declare?" So if you guys
Yes.
are wondering what, like, if Cody's like completely stupid and you're like, why the hell would he not declare? There actually was a report that came out that Marvin Harrison wants to beat Michigan, wants to win a national championship. In my opinion, that those dreams are going to go by the wayside when he realizes that the NFL will draft him probably in the top 3 overall picks, if not the top 5 to 10 at the very lowest. So there's no way that this dude's going back to school, in my opinion. Like, yeah, okay, NIL money and all that stuff can change the way that these prospects looked at the draft, but that factors in for his teammate, Travion Henderson, who went back to school after, another year of some injuries and that kind of thing. He's also a running back, so NIL money is more impactful for them because if they're getting drafted on day 3 or whatever, it's not the same kind of money that Marvin will sign when he's a first-round receiver, top 5 overall pick.
Yeah, the way you kind of think about it, also with a guy like Travion Henderson, is maybe he got the medical red flag from the NFL. He maybe said, "Hey, listen, like if I committed to the draft where I'd be selected," and maybe the committee got back to him and said, "Hey, you're probably going to be a 3rd or 4th round pick because the medicals teams are worried." If that's the case, if that's the type of feedback you're getting back, if you're Travion Henderson, it's much more valid for you to stay back in that type of perspective versus a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. Like I would be, and I'm sure you would be heavily shocked if he fell out of the top 3.
Yeah, I think it's going to, like, the NIL stuff is going to factor in more for running backs than it is for any other position fantasy relevant, at least. So I'm going to go with Tyreek here. I actually haven't had a single first overall pick, and this is my 13th draft now. So I'm getting kind of annoyed. I mean, I guess in regular Best Ball Mania, not having a first overall pick much really helped me because obviously Justin Jefferson went first overall, and that's helped my advance rate. But I am of the opinion that I think the 49ers are going to win the Super Bowl. So it's really frustrating to have a take and want to, double down on that take and be like heavily invested in it. But I'm at the mercy of where I get a pick, because if I think the 49ers are going to win the Super Bowl and I don't have Christian McCaffrey on my teams, I'm not really excited about those teams, long term into this contest. So hopefully I get some 101s here soon.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the texture difference there too. Like, for example, in this spot, maybe you can get a Debo Samuel / Brandon Ayuk / George Kittle and pair them up with each other. Whereas if you took CMC at 1, you probably wouldn't get the option of that exact pairing. So maybe that's like the other side to it. But on the other hand, I mean, Christian McCaffrey, if the Niners make the Super Bowl, is going to be the most valuable running back in the playoffs. So that's kind of, the downside of it.
Perfect. And Ayuk ended up falling to me, so I am going to go with Ayuk and see if I can build out a 49ers Dolphins little Mike McDaniel revenge game Super Bowl there. Jason says, thanks for all you guys do. Love the content and all the questions answered properly. Appreciate you, Jason. You're always in the comments here. Yep. Johnny says, what's up, fellas? Okay, well, because we're doing these drafts, we will try and answer as many like week 14 questions as you guys have, but just keep in mind we are going to be focused on these drafts as well. Hope you guys are having a good day so far. I'm having trouble deciding between Pollard, Kyron Williams.
I'm starting both over Javonte
already in my lineup. So, I mean, for me, it's so hard to sit either of these guys, but to be honest, I'm sitting Javonte Williams for the 2 running backs that you have there.
Yeah, easily. I mean, even Javonte Williams at the good matchup this week. The other guys, just in terms of offensive validity for Pollard, in terms of workload for Kyron, are just too hard to sit.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll make sure to show the board here when I'm not actually drafting.
Oh my God.
Did this guy just take a naked Tua?
Yeah, he felt like it.
Dude, I've had some. So the thing I've noticed about these draft rooms thus far is like
backdoor doc.
The people, yeah, I guess that's gonna have to be the play here. So hold on, let me see what I got here. So, God, what a fucking ape
loser. Yeah.
I think I'm better off going for, because the Dolphins are going to have a first round bye, most likely. At least that's the way that I see it. And I actually mapped out all of this in a playoff best ball master sheet, which I will upload to the site for those of you guys that are doing these drafts and you want access to this master sheet. I'm going to update it every week. What I'm going to do instead is go for San Fran as like my NFC representative in the Super Bowl, and then backdoor my AFC representative, probably either Jacksonville or Buffalo, because they are the two that I tend to gravitate towards.
Buffalo is the really interesting one at this point, because I mean, if you go to the ADP at the quarterback, I believe Josh Allen's like quarterback 8 or 9 right now.
Right.
Quarterback 8, right?
The only challenging thing, because like it's such an easy
It's
thing to just
implied
be like,
upside.
oh, if Josh Allen and Buffalo get into the dance, like they have a chance to win it all and they could be, a really good option for this tournament. And that's definitely fair. Like Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, these guys would be huge values. And maybe that's the benefit of drafting now. If you think that, Buffalo is going to get into the playoffs and is going to, make some noise once they get there, then that would be an advantage to you. But the problem is, let me look at my playoff best ball master sheet here. The Buffalo Bills are currently 6-6. They're currently the 11 seed in the AFC right now. They have plus 340 odds to make the playoffs in general. So they're 3-1
Chiefs, Cowboys, Dolphins
underdogs to make the playoffs. They have Kansas City, Dallas at home the next 2 weeks. They have the Chargers on the road, the Patriots at home, and then the Dolphins at home. Sorry, is that at home or on the road? The Dolphins on the road in week 18. So there's like 3 games there that they're not really in a good spot for. Maybe I should go with fucking Dak.
At this value. I mean, you have 2 Niners, so maybe you're playing the NFC Championship.
Yeah, I can't really do it. That's the only problem. I think I got to go ETN here, most likely. Let's see what else I got.
Really?
No, actually, I'm gonna go Jalen because now I can stack up this. See, this is one of those teams that's kind of just butched because my stacks got sniped. So what I'm gonna try and do is work out this is what I end up doing. When my stacks end up getting sniped, what I try and do is work out like a 5-player Super Bowl and just hope I hit the nuts if I get there, because it's so hard to like perfectly coordinate a team when teams in your lobby are just drafting all over the place.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of tough there. You could always, backdoor a different team like with a Dak.
I think I'm going to end up backdooring the Jaguars here.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
I think they're the nice thing about the Jaguars and drafting right now is that I think they're coming at a nice discount because of Lawrence's injury.
Yeah.
And it's not serious. Like he might play this week. So, I'm excited. Hopefully I can get ETN here. I'll be really annoyed if he gets sniped, because then I'm going to be like really fucked at the running back position, because there's like no running backs left. The running back position falls off rather quickly in these contests because there's only like 5 or 6 like actually good running backs that you want on your team.
Not to mention the implied upside there, assuming you're backdooring Jags, is because you have the 2 Dolphins there. It's very unlikely at this point, in my opinion, that they would probably meet in the second round.
So the way that they would actually run into each other would be that Jacksonville would have to surpass Kansas City in their they're both 8-4 teams, which is interesting, but the Chiefs actually beat Jacksonville straight up. So they would probably stay ahead of them in most scenarios. So the way that the Dolphins and Jaguars would meet in the playoffs would probably be unlikely. Like you said, the only way that it would really happen by the looks of it is if there was a big time upset to the Ravens or something like that on the first day of the playoffs. So yeah, I think you're probably a safe bet here saying that, the way that these 2 guys meet in the AFC Championship, which would be your kind of hope here, is that the Dolphins are like the 1 seed. Maybe I'm able to use that Jacksonville, 49ers area of this to get and advance the Dolphins, because they'd be difficult to advance if they're the 1 seed. And then the Dolphins and Jaguars don't meet until the AFC Championship, because the Jaguars are the 4 seed, the Dolphins are the 1 seed. And let's say there's an upset in round 1 and Baltimore loses to Buffalo or something like that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. It's interesting though with the Jaguars. Do
I risk it on Lawrence here and secure Ridley?
Well, because 2 of those guys have 2 quarterbacks, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to risk it on Lawrence. Okay, so what I'm building out now basically is a Jacksonville-San Fran Super Bowl, which would be really interesting. But I think that's my only option here at this point, because, I mean, the thing that's kind of interesting about these drafts is that you can get really weird this time. And, like, if you think the Colts are just going to go on, like, a magical run, like, this is the time to probably draft your, like, Colts stacks or whatever. It's just difficult because, like, the way I see the AFC and the NFC, I view them as very top-heavy conferences, and I honestly don't see like a Cinderella story happen. Like I think there's been years where you could see it happen, like the Bengals making the Super Bowl, for example, and the Rams making the Super Bowl, but I don't anticipate like the 5, 6, or 7 seed in either conference, unless that one of those teams is Buffalo in the AFC, making like a magical run. Like I just don't think the Packers and the even the Texans and the Colts and the Browns, and like on the NFC side, like the Rams, the Seahawks, other than the Cowboys, really, like at the 5 seed or whatever the NFC East runner up is, I can't anticipate a wild card team making like a magical run. Like I just don't think the teams are good enough.
In the AFC, again, I can see realistically, assuming it's, let's just say the wild, obviously the main division winners were pointing to Miami, Baltimore, KC, and Jacksonville. Well, in the wild card, I mean, even a team like Houston, for example, obviously if Buffalo makes it into the dance, like you can talk yourself into a lot more paths. Whereas with the NFC, it's like realistically, if two of these three teams weren't the NFC championship, I would be shocked. And that would be the Cowboys, that'd be the 49ers, that'd be the Eagles. I think two of those three teams are probably playing for the NFC championship. And honest to God, I think I would be extremely shocked if it was like Detroit in there or the Packers. Like, even if the Packers ran hot, like realistically, they're probably a divisional round at best, in my opinion, because I do think those three NFC teams are just so clearly above the rest.
Yeah, no, I'm on the same page there. I honestly think it's all just I said this last year about the Eagles. I think this is all just a formality for the 49ers to make the Super Bowl. Like the NFC, I just think the 49ers are going to make the Super Bowl. So, let me grab probably Ingram here, I would imagine.
Yeah, I dig Ingram. What's the running back position saying? Just curious. Like
nothing good.
Can we galaxy brain like
Elijah? Is that what you're gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say maybe like last round Aaron Jones, because you kind of need that week one production.
Yeah, I mean, I don't though. I have Jacksonville. They're not gonna get a bye.
Fair. No, I'm just more so pointing to the running back position. No.
Yeah, I think because I have Miami stacked up here and San Fran, I lean more on the side of just hoping that ETN runs hot and I can get away with a 2 RB build where like my second running back is really cheap.
Are you taking Elijah Mitchell?
I honestly don't think that's a smart idea, to be honest. Really, I would rather take a player like Bijan or Jonathan Taylor or somebody that's going to give me a very usable week. Maybe they get into the second round of the playoffs as well and give me 2 usable weeks. I think people are so focused on stacking in some of these. Like, there's a balance when it comes to these contests. Like, you can't just draft the best players because then you're just playing for advance rate. But you also can't just draft your stacks because then you're just like passing on really good players.
So, for example, like a guy like, as much as I love the Cowboys, Rico Dowdle being valued over guys like Kyron, Aaron Jones and stuff is just kind of ridiculous.
I can afford to take a bullet in the NFC. So what I think I'm going to do here is take Justin Jefferson. It's pretty unlikely that they would match up with the 49ers in the first round. And I'm also semi-worried that the Dolphins and 49ers might have a bye here. So if I can somehow advance this team and they end up making the Super Bowl against each other, then that would be kind of interesting. But I guess, I mean, I probably wouldn't win it anyway because I don't have a Dolphins or a 49ers quarterback. But advancing this, like if the Dolphins and 49ers both make the NFC Championship, this team would be challenging to advance regardless if they actually make the Super Bowl or not, if they both had a bye. So I'm trying to gal brain my way around this. And if you guys are new to these contests like this, we sound probably insane at the moment. But like, it's not as simple as like, oh, I think the 49ers will make the Super Bowl, I'm going to pick all 49ers. It's like you have to kind of play around ADP and predict what's going to be at what pick when you're doing these drafts, which is the challenging part.
For sure. Now, I'm assuming you're probably going to be looking at a running back here, right?
I probably have to go for a running back. And to be honest, I think I'm going to roll with like JT if I can get him.
I did Kyron too, to be honest.
See, I don't because I just took Jefferson. I think if the Vikings make the playoffs,
you're right. You're right. Now, what
I
about
could roll with Dameon Pierce or something like that on the AFC side? But I think I've already gone really heavy on.
Hear me out.
What's up?
You don't have any Cowboys. You could go with like a Kamara and pick your division winner with the Saints.
Yeah, I could go with Kamara. That's true. I could also go with Rachaad White too, which I actually if
that's not bad either. Yeah,
I think the Bucs would be more likely to make the playoffs than the Saints based on based on their schedules and stuff. I'm honestly just gonna go. I think the Colts are gonna make the playoffs. Their schedule is so easy. So I'm gonna roll with JT there. So I mean, it's not the greatest build. Like I said, when I end up getting sniped and I can't build out like a 6 or 7 player Super Bowl, what I end up trying to do as a result is like save the advance rate and also hope that I can get a 5-player nuts pick in the Super Bowl. Like if I get a Jacksonville San Fran Super Bowl, maybe there's better Jacksonville San Fran teams out there with Trevor, like better than Trevor Lawrence, ETN, Calvin Ridley and Ingram. But I do have an out that actually the Vikings could make the Super Bowl as well, because I do have one Viking and I would be able to field a 5-player roster. Because you do, and Christian, I believe, asked how this contest works. So the way this contest works is, like I said, you have to finish in first or second of your 6-man draft room to advance to the next round. So it's not enough to just like have a great first round, because then it's like, okay, you just got your $25 back. Your goal is to eventually get to the tournament, which only occurs in the Super Bowl. So your goal is to eventually predict the Super Bowl participants, not necessarily the winner, because you just get the fantasy production from those teams. And basically, the way that the starting roster works is that you have a quarterback, a running back, two wide receiver, and then two wide receiver / tight end spots, and then a flex. So I like to build out teams that are quite strong at wide receiver and tight end, and then go light at running back and hope that I can sun run, a strong performance from like ETN, or a strong performance from, one of these top Pollard type of running backs in the playoffs, and hope that the team kind of around them carry the rest of the production. And again, most people try and build out these stacks as like, oh, all the money's at the top in the Super Bowl. Let me build out 9 players that are going to end up being in the Super Bowl from 2 different teams. But the problem is you got to get to the Super Bowl to win that money. So you also need to advance out of the wild card round, out of the divisional round, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So for me, I think the balance is like ideal teams. My favorite teams end up having 7 players in the Super Bowl. And then the rest of the players are just like one-off Tyreek, one-off Ayuk, one-off Justin Jefferson, whatever, like guys that'll help me get there.
For sure. By the way, Brock, that is a fair point. However, Cowboys money line, baby. Let's roll.
Yeah, I mean, so this week, and the nice thing is that we're going to be in Buffalo next week to do more of these drafts. This week in particular is one that I think is going to be very instructive of how these seeds play out, because we have a couple really big games. Like Kansas City playing Buffalo is a huge game, because if Buffalo loses, you should not draft any more Buffalo Bills in these contests, because they're probably not going to make the playoffs, or at least they'd have a really slim chance. The Cowboys and Eagles game will obviously determine not only the NFC East, but it'll probably also determine the number 1 seed, because if Philadelphia wins, then San Fran is probably not going to get the number 1 seed, because they have a more challenging schedule than Philadelphia rest of the season, and they're a game behind Philadelphia right now too. So it'd be hard for San Fran to get the 1 seed if Philadelphia wins. There's also a couple other games too, like some of the wild card teams play against really tough opponents. I think the Ravens and Rams play each other. So if the Rams lose that, then they're going to be behind in the NFC playoff race. There's another team in the Seahawks play the 49ers, so they might be behind in the playoff race. And then you could draft your Packers, let's say, and your Vikings with a lot more confidence in that situation.
For sure. Real quick on Brock, I think it's a fascinating side of both ways here, to be honest, because on one hand, it's like, yeah, you would want more information prior to putting the money in. But on the other hand, if you can trust your own instincts to be able to predict the weekend, let's just say hypothetically, you're all over the Cowboys or you're all over the Eagles winning this weekend, and vice versa there with the Chiefs Bills, then you can sort of get leverage, because again, guys like the Buffalo Bills, for example, all these draftable players are at such a cheap cost right now, knowing that people are already baking in that they could just not make the playoffs. They win this weekend, all that ADP is going up.
Yeah, and this is my my master sheet here. So to give you guys an idea of what I've kind of like documented, I'm just like, okay, what are the playoff odds? How likely are these teams to make the playoffs? What's their likelihood to win their division? What's their likelihood to get a bye? Have their remaining schedule here. And then based on kind of all these factors, their likelihood to make the playoffs, how far out they are from their division, and their remaining schedule, I was like, okay, what seed are we looking at them likely finishing as? And that's kind of how I've mapped this out. And then I've made like kind of a formal prediction down here, which is how I'm going to be drafting at least this week. Next week, if things change, I have more bullets that I'll be able to switch up my strategy a little bit. But for these drafts that I'm doing while I'm in Montreal this weekend, I'm gonna draft based on these predictions. And on the NFC side of things, my prediction is that the Eagles are going to have the 1 seed. So I've been trying to go really heavy on the 49ers. And also, I think that the Falcons will end up being the 4 seed over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Saints. I think that the Vikings and Packers will end up being the 6 and 7 seeds. So I've been taking one-offs from those teams as opposed to, say, the Rams or, whatever, Seahawks, whatever other teams.
Curious real quick on the Vikings and Packers. So that scenario, they're tied with a 9-8 record. Is that built in with Minnesota beating the Packers or the Green Bay Packers beating the Vikings? Now, the reason why I'm asking is because how would the tiebreaker change hypothetically? If the Packers win, it would be a split. The
tiebreaker would then change to the Green Bay Packers having the 6 seed. But because Minnesota won on the road in Green Bay already, I'm giving them the sweep over Green Bay because they're at home. So I basically just looked ahead to the schedule and eyeballed it and was like, would they be favored in this game? Yes or no? That was basically what I did. I didn't overthink it too much. I was just like, would Vegas have them as a favorite? Yes or no? Yeah, so I think that's a safe conservative way of doing it, because that way then it's not too much like, over analyzing. And then if there was 2 games that were kind of up in the air, I would just split those games kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That makes sense. I was
Okay, so I'm going to enter another draft. If you guys, again, want to join in, of course, head on over to Underdog Fantasy and go to their lobby and go to the gauntlet. I will do one more gauntlet here, and then maybe we can do some weekly winners drafts as well, which is essentially the same idea. You're still wanting to predict the playoff, how the Super Bowl goes and stuff, except it pays out weekly prizes as opposed to like advancing into the Super Bowl and then winning the big pot at the end. So the structure is a little bit different, but you can, and the strategies, a little bit different as well, but generally speaking, you're still trying to like get as many live teams as you can into the playoffs there.
For sure. Now, last year, obviously, Chiefs and Eagles was like the money spot. Obviously, you couldn't draft a ton of both those guys because they both
it would have been difficult, man. If you had a 5-man or 6-player Super Bowl or whatever, with those 2 teams, you must have predicted exactly who the one-offs that you needed were. Like, I know J.K. Dobbins in the division or in the wild card round was one that people needed to predict. I think DK Metcalf was a huge one in the wild card round. Like, that's the challenging thing. And to me, that trying to predict that is the smarter play than trying to build out like these, the 6th seed goes on a magical run and makes the Super Bowl. I think that's far less likely than a 1 seed in a conference, like just winning the Super Bowl. Like, so what I've been trying to do last year and this year, I think that both conferences are top heavy. I think that one of the Dolphins, Ravens, or Kansas City Chiefs is probably going to be the Super Bowl team from the AFC unless Buffalo sneaks into the playoffs. No 101 still for me.
Look who got it. Look who got it.
Who got it? Oh, Ronnie boy.
Of course.
Yeah, you love to see it. I mean, fuck, we should send him a DM. We can get him in here.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, I mean, is this a CeeDee Lamb spot if he gets there?
Yeah, it definitely might be. And then the other wrinkle that we haven't even talked about yet is like you also understand too that the ADP is mainly made up of people stacking their players. So to get unique, you also then have to like reach or, get values on players. And I think this is like way more for personally, I actually prefer this to regular best ball because I think there's so much more strategy and elements of like game theory that go involved in playoff best ball versus regular best ball. Because I mean, regular best ball, it's like just draft Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams. Like you'll advance your teams. And it's like, once you get to the playoffs, it's a little bit more different, but regular season wise, like it's pretty straightforward. Like just draft the best projections.
For sure. Yeah, no,
and like, stack where appropriate and, correlate for week 17 and all that kind of stuff. But this is like, just, there's so many more, like, I think football ball knowers would do way better in this than they would in like regular best ball.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Because I mean, again, it's a lot more, like you said, what teams are better or what teams have better advantages over each other. And if you're watching a ton of film, if you understand the NFL very, intensely, you're going to be able to predict that a lot better than, your average fantasy bro.
Yeah, for sure. Looking through the comments here. Donald mentions that the Pacheco news. So yeah, I just recorded the running back tier list from my hotel room here. So are we going with C? Yeah, we're gonna go with CD here. And yeah, Pacheco has been ruled out. There was already an announcement that Andy Reid said that CH will be the starter, or at least get the lead back duties as far as like carries and probably goal line work. So of the two, I would probably pick up CEH if you guys like needed immediate production. You're trying to win this week to get into the playoffs. You're trying to win this week to secure a bye or something like that. I prefer Jerick McKinnon rest of season because he was also asked if Pacheco would go on IR. Sorry, and I think we have to take Kelsey here.
Yeah, I was gonna say Kelsey, Cowboys Chiefs Super Bowl here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think so. The last thing on Pacheco is Reed was asked, will he go to IR? And he said, we'll see. So that could mean that, McKinnon or CEH is actually valuable into the fantasy playoffs. It might not just be a 1-week injury for Pacheco. So yeah, I mean, if you have to drop Fab or whatever, like drop whatever you got left on either of these guys, whichever one is available. Do you have a preference of the two?
Between Pacheco and McKinnon?
Between McKinnon and Clyde.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Not Pacheco, obviously. I personally gravitate towards Jerick McKinnon, knowing that, okay, our best complete runner on the team is injured. What are we going to do? We're going to trust the best quarterback on the planet. We're going to throw the ball more in neutral situations. We're going to have the receiving back on the field. And it's funny because we actually saw Isaiah Pacheco in terms of early down pass rate actually be the main running back getting those targets. Like we've seen this guy really transcend his game into that 1-2 down battering ram that he was last year into a complete 3 down back with the targets that he's seen down the stretch this year. So my thought on it is, again, Reed's going to look at it. We have Patrick Mahomes. We're struggling for receiving threats. Let's get the running back that can help our identity, our nucleus of our team with Jerick McKinnon. Especially in full PPR, I would go with Jerick McKinnon. Half PPR becomes a little bit closer because then you get the touchdown equity argument there with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's probably going to get more goal line opportunity than Jerick McKinnon. But, I mean, who knows? Jerick McKinnon, we've seen hop inside the 10-yard line and catch, a flat route and have a receiving touchdown like 5 weeks in a row at times.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I feel like people are just doing the whole like, oh, Jerick McKinnon's going to be a league winner again. Like, and I mean, Reed literally came out and said that Clyde will be the lead back, at least on early downs. So for me, I don't want to just like jump the gun and be like, oh yeah, it's definitely going to be whatchamacallit. Like, I don't think that's necessarily true either.
Yeah, let's smash some Dak.
Yeah. Okay. So Prescott's going to be our pick here. Hopefully, Pollard falls back to us, but Pacheco would also make a lot of sense as well.
Yeah.
Yep. You just order these guys in the proper order. I saw, by the way, a graphic about like percentage of routes where the player was open, and Rashee Rice was literally at the top of the graphic, and I nearly shit my pants when I saw that. I was like, so how did Rashee Rice go from can't run routes in college to is an elite route runner in the NFL? Like I've never, that's like the wide receiver version of what Josh Allen did from being an inaccurate quarterback to a very accurate quarterback. Like it's really strange to me that that's what's transpired.
Let's go some Pacheco.
Yeah,
no, I agree.
Sure we got anything else that would work here. So it looks like we go with Pacheco here. And hopefully Rice can fall back to us maybe, or Cooks or Ferguson, worst case scenario.
Love Ferguson at that value, 35 ADP.
I wouldn't mind doing a one-off potentially as well, knowing that Cooks and Ferguson, I've noticed, have slid quite a bit in these drafts, especially since we have Dak and Lamb already. We might be able to get a nice one-off like Mostert that's falling, or maybe a one-off Zay Flowers or something like that. I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Yeah, no, I dig that. Real quick, by the way, you had mentioned Rashee Rice. I talked about it on the wide receiver show basically the last couple weeks, and obviously the big detractor there is like, whoa, he hasn't had over 70% of the snaps. Like, what are we doing here? Like, he's not a full-time player yet. At the same time, despite not getting over 70% of the snaps, in the last, I think it was 6 weeks that I counted, since he got over 60%, he's averaging 14 PPR points per game. If we can project that right now, how efficient he is, how many targets he's getting on that limited snap size, could you just imagine, let's just say, come playoff time, they need to rely upon their best players. Rashee Rice is their best wide receiver. You got a lot of upside there because, I mean, again, he is the number one target for Patrick Mahomes outside of Travis Kelce, and that's always going to have its implied upside. So 22 spot is very interesting, knowing, again, if Mahomes makes the dance, which he's basically a guarantee, he's a lock to at this point, he's always going to be live to make the Super Bowl. And I want the number one weapon, the number one receiver, because obviously Kelsey's number one weapon on that offense with Rashee Rice. So I do think 22, if we're banking on the fact that Mahomes is already going at 7 as the quarterback too, I think it's sneaky value.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a little annoyed. I have a black badge now. Nice. I'm a little annoyed that Ron was going after Chiefs as well. So he grabbed Rashee Rice from us.
I didn't even see Ed Mahomes.
So I think that we should be able to get Cooks here, no problem. And again, like worst case, we just grabbed Fergo. I wouldn't be opposed here to taking a one-off Gibbs.
Yeah, I don't mind Gibbs there. I also don't hate Keaton Mitchell, knowing that the Chiefs and the Ravens, I believe the Chiefs are probably going to be the 2 or 3. Ravens are probably going to be the 1 at this point. I think you had them, or were they the 2?
So I have in the playoff best ball master sheet, I have listed here the Ravens right now, they're minus 20,000 to make the playoffs. So they're obviously going to make the playoffs. They're 9-3 record right now. The Dolphins and Ravens actually play later on in the season. So that will probably determine a big tiebreaker.
Yeah.
They actually play in week 17. It's one of the games that people were like stacking up for like regular best ball purposes because it was a huge week 17 shootout. I would say like Baltimore is technically the favorite to get the bye in terms of overall odds, but I actually don't think that they're going to get the bye. I think their schedule is harder than Kansas City's and Miami's.
Yeah, so I'm assuming the odds there are built in that like they think the Ravens are just like the clear-cut number 1 team in terms of
Baltimore would have to beat like the Rams, good team. Jacksonville, we expect Lawrence to probably be back. San Fran, both Jacksonville and San Fran games are on the road as well. and then Miami at home and Pittsburgh. Like literally every single team that they play against is currently in a playoff spot, minus the Steelers, who just fell out of one.
Yeah. No.
And that's a division game, and that game is, usually close and stuff too. So, I mean, when I look at that schedule versus like the Dolphins play, Dallas and Baltimore and Buffalo at the end of the season, but they also have Tennessee and the Jets the next 2 weeks, which are 2 like easy cupcake wins. Yeah. And then the Chiefs, they have Buffalo this week, but then they have New England, Las Vegas, Cincinnati, and the Chargers. Like, yeah. It's like, oh, Baltimore has like one cupcake game or one like very easily winnable game, and they could reasonably lose the other one. So when I see that, I'm like, oh, you could go 3-2, no problem. Like, it's like you're not like guaranteed 5-0 or 4-1. Like, and I would say that the Dolphins and Chiefs probably are 4-1 type of down the stretch teams. But that week 17 game will decide quite a bit.
Yeah, I feel like for the most part, outside of like who's going to be the 1 seed in the NFC, which is up for debate, the AFC has a lot more question marks at this current point, because with the NFC, you can pretty much lock in 4 teams to make the playoffs 100%. And then at that point, it's like, are the other 3, like the 2 other wildcard teams? Is it going to be the Packers, the Rams, the Seahawks, or the Vikings? Or is it going to be whoever wins the NFC South, which even that you already know is more likely to be a one and done, knowing that they're probably going to play the Cowboys in the first round.
Yeah, for sure. What are your thoughts on taking a second quarterback in general? Like, especially knowing that we have Dak, who's not getting a bye. Like, let's be real here. He's probably not going to have a bye. Would you have
this spot? I wouldn't.
You would or you wouldn't?
In this spot, I wouldn't, simply because I know regardless, Dak should have a favorable matchup in that wild card round.
I'm gonna take a one-off Collins here.
I like that.
A good option for like advance rate purposes, and then I think I'm gonna go to Jet McKinnon with our next pick. Or actually, we have Pacheco already. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think we should go with McKinnon, or should we go back to the wide receiver well or something?
I mean, the galaxy brain there is that
we could go with like a Justin Watson or something to go along with our. I think we can get a Chiefs receiver in the 9th, though. I don't think I want to take a Chiefs receiver.
I agree. If you're going to go with the Chief, I actually don't hate the galaxy brain there of a Jerick McKinnon, knowing that if they're going to pay off, they're going to pay off in different game environments. Let's just say the Chiefs are in more of a muddy, keep it on the ground type of game. Isaiah Pacheco's more likely going to be the more utilized weapon. But if they're playing like the Miami Dolphins, Jerick McKinnon is probably going to get the utility there. So you might have some uniqueness if you're able to advance both guys. Typically, let's just say Pacheco in the AFC Championship has a bad game. If you have that Jerick McKinnon leverage,
I think I'm going to go with McKinnon. I think he makes the most sense for our team.
Yeah, I like it.
There's not a one-off here that I feel like, great option.
I like Tolbert late.
Whatever. We already took Collins, so Ingram would have been fine as well.
Is Tolbert available?
What's up?
Is Tolbert available? I don't mind him last round. Because he's been getting more.
Yeah, Tolbert would be interesting. JMO could have also made some sense, knowing that we have Gibbs. If we expected a Lions and Cowboys NFC Championship or something like that, how would that even happen? I'm just trying to think.
Well, the Lions are locked into the 2 or the 3 seed more than likely. So assuming
I think they're probably going to end up being the 3 seed. So that means that the Cowboys are if
very
things
unlikely.
go as expected, which I think they will in the NFC, and the Lions win against Green Bay or whoever they play against Minnesota. And the Cowboys and Eagles, in this scenario, the Cowboys would have to beat one of those top teams or whatever. They'd beat the Falcons or whatever in the first round. And then the second round, they'd be in line to face whoever had the bye, most likely, because the 49ers and Lions would have taken care of business in that situation, or the Eagles, whatever team that they're not playing.
The only plausible way that they can even realistically meet in the second round, I would say personally, again, assuming.
Okay, real quick, do we want to go with Justin Watson, Michael Gallup, Kadarius Toney? I think we should definitely.
I go Watson,
Cowboy.
Here.
I think
I go Watson, and then I go Tolbert, because I might prefer Tolbert to Gallup straight up, to be honest, because I really think that Dallas is considering making that move.
Okay, let's go with Watson then.
I like that.
And then so we have 4 Kansas City Chiefs players, and we have just
3 Cowboys,
3 Dallas Cowboys players. So to me, again, I like to set the limit at 7. I don't think it's practical to draft 8 players from the Super Bowl.
I don't mind that.
So I might take a one-off player. I'm just seeing what would be the option to do that. And Gallup goes anyway, which is kind of makes my decision a little.
I kind of prefer Tolbert to him anyways, but
we could take Rico here.
I don't mind that.
We could take Stroud as well, because we have Collins.
Yeah, I'll defer to you. I'll let you make the choice here.
I think I like Stroud the most as the one-off. Again, I don't typically like, you have a quarterback that's going to play all the games. You don't need to go with a second quarterback, but I think your thought process is here that maybe the Cowboys win the first game of the
It's
playoffs
ugly.
and it's like not due to Dak Prescott. Like he doesn't have to score a lot. Maybe it's a defense.
Yeah.
Like it's against the Falcons, right?
Well,
Like they
for
could score
example,
defensive touchdowns. It could be a low scoring game, whatever the case is. And CJ Stroud maybe loses in the first round, or maybe does get out of the first round. And it's a hard fought game against, Kansas City in round 1 or something like that. And that game shoots out. You advance CJ Stroud and Nico help you advance to the next round where Dak is getting eliminated, right? Like a lot of people lost their Dak Prescott in round 1 because they just drafted Dak Prescott.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. Real quick, in terms of that dynamic. I mean, for example, we just saw that kind of materialize when the Cowboys played the Panthers this year. The Cowboys beat them 33-10. Dak Prescott got 185 yards in that game. Now, I'm not saying like it's a gimme, but like the NFC South, although the Panthers
Bucks?
are the wait, sorry, correct? Go.
Did you say the Bucks or the Panthers?
The Panthers with 33-10. Dak only had 185 yards in that game. So road environment.
Okay. I thought you meant last year's wild card game. I was like, he didn't play the Panthers last year. He played us.
No, yeah, Dak shredded in that game. But
yeah,
no, I'm just pointing to the fact that when they played the Panthers this year, it was 185 passing yards. I think it was only 2 passing touchdowns for Dak. We really saw, a more conservative effort in terms of the defensive game plan, limiting the big plays. And that kind of resulted in, other avenues of them paying off. So I can see that being the case where if they play the Falcons are just probably going to say, hey, listen, like, we know you want CeeDee Lamb. We know you want Jake Ferguson. If you want to run the ball game on us, go ahead. If you want to throw the ball to, Brandon Cooks 5 times today, go ahead, but you're not going to beat us with your number 1 and number 2 weapon. So I really could see in that type of game script, maybe the Cowboys, like Tony Pollard, pays off 2 rushing touchdowns. And then, for the foreseeable future after that, let's say they play the Philadelphia Eagles in the divisional round and then the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship. Those are 2 pass funnel defenses. You do not want to run the football on them. Although in that week 1, you would have needed Stroud to advance. Maybe those Dak teams who lost in week 1, well, guess what? If the Cowboys make the Super Bowl and Dak goes off in the second and third weeks, those teams are already going to be eliminated because they lost in week 1.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm entering another one just because I want to get a 101. Like it's pissing me off that I haven't gotten one yet. And I might go until I get one, to be honest. Like I'm severely irritated. I got what is that, a 104? Like,
Another
Jesus,
one?
dude.
Wait, we were 104 last draft?
I think, no, we were 105 last draft. We have a couple. I just want to see if I can skim through some of these here. Miguel, I would go with Isaiah Likely and of that option there, even though Schultz is going to be out this week. I would probably roll with Likely instead.
Now I'm curious, how do you lean here? Like it's probably gonna are you going Lamb here? Or are you gonna mix it up with Kelsey? I guess we had Lamb and Kelsey on the last team, so it doesn't really matter.
I might big brain I I actually wouldn't mind if Hurts fell because I've had a couple 104s where Hurts just falls there.
Fair.
I wouldn't mind big braining like a Ayuk at 104 and then securing Purdy at the 2-3 and rolling a 9. Like I have to force 49ers stacks at this point because I want my portfolio to be heavy on the 49ers and I can't get 101s. So I'm going to have to force 49ers at this point.
Yeah, no, and then maybe you got to hope your Jawan Jennings late kind of pays off.
Yeah, and M says, should I roll with Kenneth Walker, Charbonnet, or Roschon Johnson? I think it's brutal because Charbonnet and Walker are both coming into the game as game time decisions. If Walker is active, I would play Walker, but if both guys come in as game time decisions, like a pitch count or something, then I'm cool just playing Roschon. Like the Bears and Lions tend to shoot out, to be honest, every time they play each other. So I wouldn't mind doing that. But that's a question I would 100% bring to the Sunday morning live stream when we have more information. Daniel says, if the Falcons don't sign a quarterback, I'm going to go sign up and try out. Who should I start, Purdy or Love? Who has a better game? I think Purdy will absolutely light the Seahawks on fire, to be honest.
Dude, it's not close for me. I mean, the 49ers are implied for 28.5 points this week at home. I have
Jalen fell, so I'm gonna grab Jalen here.
Yeah. Take Hurts. Real quick on the 49ers, by the way, 28.5 implied points at home. Obviously, they've been a dominant home team this year. We saw against the Cowboys, for example, that offense just absolutely lights it up in that atmosphere. And I actually have both George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and Brandon Ayuk ranked as top 15 wide receivers for me this week, with George Kittle being a top 6 overall tight end every single week. So Like if Purdy doesn't pay off, I'd be extremely shocked. The only real way that probably happens in this type of game script is McCaffrey maybe rushing in 3 or 4 touchdowns, to be honest. Because even if he rushes in 2, I can see Purdy throwing for 2 or 3 in his own right.
Yeah, I put out like a because I'm a noted Brock Purdy stan in this chat. I put out a tweet. I was like, dude, can we stop? Like, because I saw so many fucking tweets today about like Purdy like sucks. He's just getting carried and all this nonsense. I'm like, dude. So there was a graphic that somebody put up that was like the percentage of yards after the catch for past MVPs. Brock Purdy would be 4th on that list. Like Mahomes. Both of his MVPs and Rodgers, both of his MVPs in the last like 5 years.
Is that AJ Brown?
Percentage of their yards after the catch.
Devontae Smith. Okay, we can do Smitty. We have Hurts. You have to stack them.
Yeah, we have to stack them. It sucks because I wish I was closer picking because then I could have gone with Ayuk and then hoped that Purdy came back to me potentially. But I'm guessing this beard back guy is going to take Purdy on the way back.
Yeah, if he gets him, there's 3.
Yeah, if he gets him, I wouldn't be shocked if this guy takes Ayuk now and then he takes Purdy or Big Tabowski or whatever fucking takes them both.
Well, the guy who has McCaffrey is probably going to go with Purdy plus Kittle or Purdy plus Ayuk, and then it's like
he's probably praying right now that Ayuk and Purdy fall to him here.
Dude, I hope Bode takes Purdy just to spite him.
This guy is Tyreek, so this guy's praying to God that Tua is the pick here. Oh, you went Achane. That's a gutty ass pick there.
That's early, man. You could have got him.
Yeah, I would have gone with Tua and secured him at first, but I guess he's probably he went Achane probably because he was like, oh, I don't want.
What are the odds that this guy actually doesn't take Purdy?
If he doesn't take Purdy and Ayuk, this guy is stunned because this might be one of the best fucking starts I've ever seen.
Easy.
I don't know if I've seen somebody been able to do this with these 3 guys. I've been in.
All 3 of them in the top 10 of ADP.
I don't think I've seen anybody be able to pull that off, to be honest.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Okay, so I'm at a point here where I got to get something on the AFC side.
I don't mind.
I could just take Swift here, I suppose.
You could take Swift. You could take like a Flowers and hope for a Ravens-Eagles Super Bowl.
Yeah, you know what? Let's go with I'm going to go with Swift and
that.
Hope that Flowers comes back. Because the sneaky thing about the Ravens is that there is a lot of later round options. So even if you just get Flowers, both of their running backs go late.
What's Likely's ADP?
Likely goes pretty late. Andrews is actually on track to return by the AFC Championship, which I've already mixed in 2 Ravens shares where I had Andrews on the teams. So I'm probably going to steer clear of that now because I've already mixed in a couple, but that's also a factor too. And like Beckham and Bateman and stuff go pretty late too.
Yeah, for sure. No, I dig that. Gus Edwards, pretty decent. Keaton Mitchell's a lot cheaper. I'd probably just go Keaton Mitchell if you're playing for the upside there, but
yeah, I also, I'm trying to think here. Zay went. So
what's Goddard's price?
I can wait on him. What I was going to do instead was grab Kittle here because I'm also just quite confident that the NFC Championship will be San Fran and Philadelphia to the point that I might just grab Kittle here as a one-off.
Yeah. No, I don't hate that either because
I could grab Waddle here. That might actually make more sense.
Yeah, I would go Waddle personally or Rice.
The problem with the Dolphins though is that if I don't get Mostert to fall back to me, there's nobody on the Dolphins that's relevant left. You know what? Because Tyreek, Waddle, and the 2 running backs are all that matter on that offense. Like, what am I going to big brain as Cedric Wilson late? Like, there's literally nobody else that's fantasy relevant. There's no tight end you can grab. Like, it's kind of like a very concentrated offense, which is somewhat difficult there.
On the bright side, at least, theoretically, you only need 1 more for the Super Bowl matchup, like we were pointing out. So you have 4 Eagles/Dolphins right now. So worst case scenario, if you do have to go Goddard, then you just go with a 4x1 build in that instance. Like assuming
that's true.
The Eagles Dolphins.
Because I think again, one thing that's difficult because I think the Eagles will end up having a bye. So if you're building out an Eagles stack, I think the play is to cut it close in the Super Bowl, not in the first round.
Yes.
Play it so that you need the nuts in the Super Bowl. You got 5 players in the Super Bowl and you need all 5 players to hit. That's the way that I think you should play it if you're trying to advance a team that projects to have a bye.
Yeah, no, I dig that. Not to mention, obviously you're playing here assuming that the Ravens are getting the bye because otherwise, why would we be drafting Dolphins here? But yeah, no, I agree with that rationale.
Either of these 2 guys falling to me would be money.
Yeah. I mean, I'd lean Mostert on.
I would
face
too, but
value,
yeah, Kittle would be nice too, to be honest.
Kittle 12 picks after ADP is kind of ridiculous as well.
Yeah, like this guy's gonna take him. I think
he has to, man.
He has Debo, so yeah, he's gonna take him. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I'll take a 5. That's a 5 nuts Super Bowl right there.
Yeah,
perfect. So
that's a
I'm
really
gonna
good
need
combo.
a second quarterback, unfortunately, because I do have Jalen Hurts, and I think he'll have a bye. So
Stroud or Lawrence would probably be the
I could maybe
there.
go Goff here as well.
I'm curious
if he Goddard if he falls. Actually,
yeah, I was gonna say if Goddard falls, like what's your next decent quarterback? Because I mean Stroud falls pretty far too. If you just need a one-off quarterback, you just backdoor Stroud Collins, you're kind of laughing at that point.
Yeah, you know what I also don't think is a horrible like just Collins for the advance rate move. Did Collins just go like
Collins just went?
Yeah. I think a sneaky like just for the advance rate move is to take Minshew and Pittman as well.
I dig that too. Honestly, I broke it down again with the wide receivers, but Michael Pittman Jr., since Gardner Minshew took over at quarterback, nearly 20 PPR points per game, almost 12 targets per game. The guy gets absolutely fed, so you know it's a concentrated target share. Again, it's very likely at this point, given their schedule, that the Colts probably end up making the playoffs, in my opinion, especially with the Steelers losing last night. I mean, that is so big, too, knowing that in advance that the Steelers lost to the Patriots, because I'm telling you right now, when we go to Buffalo, I'm not drafting any fucking Steelers because I mean,
definitely not. Product. Like, there's no point at this point.
Yeah.
So I was literally just about to say another sneaky move could be to take Gibbs here, but yeah, I'm gonna grab Goddard because that's just an auto pick. The challenging thing is I am gonna definitely need to stop now at the Eagles and Dolphins. Yes. I mean, the Dolphins, these two both might be in the Super Bowl or in the bye week. Sorry. So I might have just fucked up by taking Goddard because then I can't field a full roster in the first week.
I guess, but if they both get the bye week, it's probably fried anyways.
Yeah. So you got to play I guess I'm kind of, but at the same time, part of the reason when you're drafting early is if that ends up being the case, nobody knows that yet. Right. So I'm getting a unique team texture by knowing that inherently when I'm drafting. But then at the same time, I probably would get better values on these players if both of them did secure a bye. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a torch.
Well, I mean,
I guess it's probably better to approach it that one of these teams does not have a bye.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm going to say. We're playing a game theory perspective here. We're going to have a lot of teams in this contest. So you got to kind of play each team accordingly. You got to kind of map out the route, and the route of this team, unfortunately, if both of them get the bye week, it's probably cooked anyways.
Yeah, and I think the Dolphins are about half the percentage chance that the Eagles are to get a bye. So it's probably smart to play the Dolphins. If I got another, I mean, there's no other fantasy relevant Dolphins, but if I was going to draft more of the players, I might actually have to take Gus Edwards here because that's just a nice value on him.
Yeah.
What else do we got here? Fergo's not bad too.
Ferguson, wait, how 35 just seems so cheap for Ferguson.
Yeah, Ferguson is definitely a guy that I would actually probably take even over Gus.
He's ranked why are we taking Kincaid over him?
Yeah, Beckham's not a bad one-off as well.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Okay, Ferguson just went.
The only thing I would say against Beckham is that if you take a Raven here, you already took Dolphins, so it's kind of tricky because you're assuming that Dolphins don't get the bye week, so therefore it's probably going to be the Ravens that do. And if the Eagles get the bye week, you're kind of cutting yourself. I think that would be unlikely at this point.
Okay. I'm gonna grab.
Could go. I'm gonna grab Ingram.
I'm gonna grab Lawrence. I'm gonna go as my second quarterback, and then I can grab Ingram later.
I love that. Here. Ingram, in worst case scenario, you fall back to a guy like Zay Jones later.
Or Christian Kirk even. Yeah. I mean, Kirk probably not going to fuck with him because I think he'll probably be out in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because I need him for the first round. If I was playing a Jaguars Super Bowl, then maybe you Galaxy Brain Christian Kirk coming back by the AFC Championship or something. But I'm trying to play for week 1 of the playoffs with this team because I have the Eagles. So
yeah, for sure.
But anyways, I'm looking through some of the comments here if we got any stuff to go through. Bears are taking Caleb at 1 or Marvin at 1. I don't know which one they were talking about.
He was talking about Marvin, and I would completely be shocked.
Yeah, Marvin's not going to go first overall, but I would. No. I would. Would you be? What do you think the odds would be on Marvin going over Drake May in the draft? Say for example, Arizona had the second pick, which they do.
Well, if they have the second pick, actually, no, the Patriots still do tiebreaker strength of schedule.
Oh, really?
Yes. If the Cardinals got the second pick, I can almost assure that they're going to trade down because there's no way they won't have an insane market for Drake May. even the Patriots, like they would offer at least a second round pick to move up
So
one spot.
This guy went with a Jaguar, but he went with
Naked?
Zay Jones over Evan Ingram.
Would take it. How far ahead of ADP was Zay Jones there?
He was 10 picks behind, I think.
What's he? Okay,
Yeah,
I guess
by
he's
56.
playing for a min cash, I guess.
Yeah, this guy's playing for. Oh, I mean, if you're playing for a min cash, why don't you take Justin Jefferson?
Yeah, I don't get it. Don't get it.
And if Jefferson falls, I 100% will take him. Because honest to God, even if I only get one game at him and they play the Eagles in the first round, which is semi-likely, like if they're the 7 seed and the Eagles are the 2 seed or something, I will still take 1 week of Justin Jefferson to help advance this team, to be honest. And I guess I'm playing this the way, because I took 2 quarterbacks, I'm playing this that the Eagles do have the bye. So maybe the 49ers and Vikings are playing in the first round. And if I get a 30-point performance and the Vikings lose or something like that, then I'll take it.
Well, I mean, Jefferson, even if they play the 49ers, like, yes, the 49ers defense is very good. Everybody knows that they're probably a top 3-ish type of defense in the NFL, but the one way you can beat them is throwing outside the numbers. And I wouldn't be shocked if they did play in the wild card. Yes, we can expect probably 49ers win by double digits, but at the same time, it's like if Justin Jefferson has 15 targets, 10 receptions, 143 yards, and 2 touchdowns, you won't be complaining there for that one-off.
No, exactly not. Like the tough thing is that those things can happen, and they did last year. Like the
DK
DK had
literally against the Niners.
They lost, and he put up a huge point thing. So it was like if you were going to take a one-off that was only going to be good for the first week to advance your Eagles or Chiefs teams, like you had to have DK Metcalf basically or J.K. Dobbins.
Happy Marvin Harrison Jr. is not going first overall.
If the Bears have first overall, they are 100% going to take a quarterback. It'll probably be Caleb Williams, but a quarterback will be the pick.
That, and also here we can make our pick and then I'll address it. Running back or receiver here? I'll let you make the
probably
pick
not a running back.
Could go.
I don't love the board at the moment.
Yeah. Let me address this real quick. I'll let you just.
I'll grab a one-off Isaiah Likely.
I think
that he has like a good performance, maybe.
So real quick, Happy. This would be drafting malpractice in my opinion, because even if you say Fields is their guy, even if Fields is their guy, guess what? You're not taking a wide receiver over 2 of the highest coveted quarterback prospects.
You at least trade down to number 3 or 4 and then take Marvin Harrison. Like you don't draft him over. Like even if you have to move down one spot with the Patriots finished with the number 2 pick and they want Caleb and not Drake or something, or whatever quarterback they prefer, they want to just slide up with you and send you a 2nd round pick for free just to move down one slot. Like it's the same thing that we said about like what we talk about in rookie drafts. It's like, don't take Anthony Richardson at 101. You don't have to trade down to 102 and let the 101 person take Bijan Robinson like everybody's going to. It's the same principle in the actual NFL draft.
Well, that, and I mean, can I, adding on to that real quick in the NFL, if you're looking at it from a market standpoint, those teams in the first 2 slots would literally be doing a drafting malpractice by taking a wide receiver over a potential franchise quarterback. Not even just them taking it themselves, but even just entertaining the market for it. Because I'm telling you right now, if the Bears pick first overall and they just say, hey, Justin Fields is our guy, we want to build around Justin Fields, well, guess what? The Patriots are going to want to move up. The Commanders are going to want to move up.
Okay, real quick, should I go with Bateman because I just took Likely and just build like a mini little Ravens, or should I take a one-off Bijan for the advance rate?
One-off Bijan all day.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Like, in what world would you actually take Rashad Bateman over Bijan Robinson when it comes to scoring fantasy points? Probably none. So,
yep. And if you're at risk of losing Marvin Harrison, if you're the Bears, so be it. You got to get the assets for the.
Well, then if you know that the Cardinals are going to take Marvin Harrison, then you trade down to a point that you're still ahead of the Cardinals, or you trade back up with the Cardinals and sacrifice some of the value you gained from trading down from 101 to get the guy that you wanted. Just like with Arizona, didn't they trade down and trade back up for Paris Johnson in the draft this year?
Yeah. Basically,
they traded down to like 12 or whatever with Houston, and then they traded back up to get the guy that they wanted, and they still netted and pocketed a first rounder for doing it.
100%. That's just sharp GMing. At the end of the day, you have to understand the positional value of the quarterback and understanding that there's going to be a lot of teams in the market.
Like you'll get a first, you will get
3+ firsts,
like 1 to 2 picks with somebody for Caleb Williams. You'll get a first rounder.
Oh, with ease. And I'm even saying, like, let's just say the Bucs finish with the 8th overall pick. Worst case scenario, okay, cool. 8th overall, it's not Marvin Harrison, but guess what? You're going to get Malik Neighbors or someone like that there anyways.
Well, smart GMing dictates that if the Buccaneers are sending you 8th overall, their 2025 first, their 2026 first, and a 3rd round pick for 1st overall to take Caleb Williams, then you make the trade, you go down to 8th overall, and you watch the board. And then at 3 overall, maybe you call up the Arizona Cardinals,
Give
or
one
you
of the
call up the
picks
New
back
England
if you need
Patriots, or
to.
you call up whoever, and you get back up there to get your guy.
Yeah.
And you probably only have to give up one of those 1st round picks to do it. And you netted a 2nd 1st round pick.
100%. The 1st overall and probably even the first 2 overall picks are going to be quarterbacks this year, and I'd be extremely shocked if it wasn't. And adding on to that real quick, this is just kind of a moot point because if the Bears finish 1st overall, they're not building around Fields. I can tell you.
Yeah, and also let me just contextualize something real quick. When it comes to like knowing if a quarterback is your guy, who would you rather have? A 4th-year quarterback or a 1st-year quarterback?
Well, I mean, like, just think
quarterback's 4th season. You should
got to
be
know.
well aware if they are the quarterback of the future. If you still don't know if the guy is your future or not, there's a good chance he probably isn't.
Well, adding on to that, even if you're sure that
I'm doing another one, by the way. We need a 101.
Okay. Even if you view Justin Fields and Caleb Williams on the same playing field here, let's just say the chances of them both getting to elite quarterback status are even, which, by the way, I think it's easily Caleb Williams. Just to say for this exercise, they have an even opportunity to be a franchise quarterback. The logistics of it is that you're getting one quarterback who, A, is a few years younger, B, also has 5 years of team control, versus the other one who's going to be needing a new deal within the next couple of years. So logistically, if you're building a team, you're taking the potential franchise quarterback at minus $45 million compared to what a top quarterback of the line, let's just say $55 million is probably what the top 3 overall quarterbacks will be making on the open market. What's Caleb Williams making as the 1st overall pick? Like 10 to 15 million?
Yeah.
For the next 4 to 5 years?
You're probably going to get a day 2 pick for Fields too.
Yeah, no, the Falcons wouldn't give you like 50th overall for him.
Yeah. He said Poles has already come out and said Fields is their guy.
They're going to say that right now.
Cliff Kingsbury came out and said Josh Rosen was his guy before they drafted Kyler Murray. I could care less what they say, to be honest.
Not to mention, like,
Spicy, I'm going to do a weekly winners after this one. I wanted one more shot at the 101.
Real quick on that, is Poles just going to go out there and say, nah, Fields isn't our guy, but we're drafting a quarterback in the middle of the season? Like, he's not going to do that.
Also, it inherently devalues the asset he's trying to trade if he doesn't say that.
For sure. So, of course, he's going to say that. He wants teams to think, Justin Fields, the value there, et cetera. That he wants to prop up the market value. So, but yeah.
Also, the guy who's picking 1st overall, his name is Glue Eater.
And having to build the team around another quarterback again, what kind of logic is that? The logic is that you're going to have the money that you would save from extending Justin Fields to be able to use to buy some players in free agency, to buy some players. Trade for some players.
Would be sound in your case if we 100% knew Justin Fields was a franchise quarterback. But
we don't.
Answer to that question is maybe he is, maybe he isn't.
It just makes no sense when you have the opportunity to draft a franchise quarterback with 4 to 5 years of team control and you pass on it. I get it.
What if Caleb Williams or Drake May is the next CJ Stroud? Do you think the Texans are happy they drafted CJ Stroud right about now? Yeah, I'm going to, because we just did fucking
Mahomes?
Nah, you know what? I'm doing another Eagles team. I already have a shit ton of Eagles exposure. I guess I'm going to be all in on the Eagles again, just like I was last year, because I just keep getting picks where the Eagles players go.
GG's Oracle. Were you in the last draft?
He probably was, yeah. I would imagine so.
Fair play.
But yeah, I understand the process of this. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, yeah, if Justin Fields you thought he was a franchise quarterback and you wanted to build around him by taking a franchise wide receiver like Marvin Harrison and taking a franchise left tackle or whatever like Olu Fushanu, or maybe even taking another weapon like Brock Bowers, or taking one of the best defenders in the class. But generally speaking, this class is wide receivers, quarterbacks, and offensive tackles mainly.
Let me quickly also add on to the fact that with Ryan Poles right now, you inherited Justin Fields. If you make the decision that at 1st overall, you're not going to be taking your new quarterback, your entire tenure as the GM is tied to the success of Justin Fields. You have 2 years for him to prove if he is that guy. From a GM, hot seat standpoint, if you draft Caleb Williams, and again, I think he's got a much better chance to become a franchise quarterback at this point than Justin Fields, but even just for the ease sake of, we have now 4 to 5 years rather than 2 years to try to turn this ship around, the GM's going to make that move every single time. every single
not
time.
to mention when you fire your coach, which is probably what's going to happen, your new coach now has a young quarterback to build around, and he gets to pick
more
said
attractive
quarterback.
offer.
Exactly. It's way easier to get a new coach with a first overall pick projected rather than say you need to fix Justin Fields for us.
AJ Brown fell. That's fucking money.
Yeah, he did, which is it actually has happened to me quite often most of
Devontae?
the time when I'm doing these drafts with Jalen Hurts, but sometimes you have to pick Jalen a little higher. Hopefully Chuck Amazing doesn't take Devontae Smith on me here because he could potentially do it, but I'm hoping he takes Waddle or something. Yep, he takes Waddle. Perfect. All right, so we got the premium Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. You love to see that.
By the way, with all due respect, again, it's a great build. I am hoping that this weren't to happen in real life where this is the winning team. But if it does happen, hey, at least you have access to the 3 best Eagles. So
again, happy. Again, I'm glad you're going back and forth with this because this is a fun conversation.
It's a fun combo.
It is. First of all, the Bears are already in a better situation.
Fields isn't a franchise quarterback.
Panthers are in. Let's just get that straight because they already have DJ Moore. They already have Cole Kmet extended. They already have a better offensive line than Carolina has. And they're going to have a new coaching staff, not Frank Reich, who's a terrible coach. And that was a stupid hire. And they also are going to have their future picks and potentially more future picks because they have 2 first-rounders this year, including Carolina's first-rounder. So it's not as simple as saying, oh, this is just like – you see what happens when you just draft a quarterback and have nothing around him because Chicago's landing spot is already better than Carolina's now, 100%. Let alone when they draft Caleb Williams, let's say first overall, they could still draft Malik Neighbors with their other. Did we actually just get sniped on Swift?
Yeah, 1 pick. Rice? Eagles Chiefs?
Rice
rematch?
Could be interesting.
I don't mind the rematch narrative.
Yeah. Let's go. No, we don't have another Dolphin to go with, actually.
Yeah, we just did Dolphins, too.
Yeah. Let's go with Rice. Fuck it. I was going to say let's go with the Dolphins, but I think it's actually, I'd be interested to do a Jacksonville this time. Because then we have we might have another out for Jacksonville, Philadelphia, and Kansas City, Philadelphia, if we go with ETN and with McKinnon as our running backs.
I dig that. Real quick, though, touching back on the point, with Bryce Young, they have no assets, but also no talent. The Bears on offense have talent, and they have a crap ton of assets, including the Panthers' own assets, by the way, with DJ Moore with that first overall pick. So,
okay, I think I'm going to take Travis here.
Yeah, no, I dig that. But on that point, by the way, you're also assuming there that Justin Fields is this gimme franchise quarterback, which he's probably got. I love Justin Fields in the pre-draft cycle. He was my quarterback too, but the odds of him being a franchise quarterback at this point is probably, even if you're optimistic, a 25 to 30% chance. Yeah. Even if you're optimistic.
Yeah, and again, it sounds like you're just high on Justin Fields, which I understand. He's an exciting player, but if Justin Fields was as good as you are suggesting, there would be no question nobody would even be talking about this. And there's also a good chance he would have been much better and would have won them more games, and this would be a moot point. So I get it. Their defense isn't good, and, he doesn't have the most help around him. He could use another receiver. He could use a better play caller, whatever you want to, attribute it to. Justin Fields could still have a successful career elsewhere. But as we said, it's GM malpractice to not reset the clock, draft a prospect who is drawing comparisons to the best quarterback in the world.
Yeah, I mean, and for what it's worth, it's not like Justin Fields has been a world beater when he's been healthy. He's 20.
He's been good. He's shown signs. He's been like pre-breakout Jalen Hurts, but he hasn't been good enough. And why did Calvin Ridley just go right there?
I mean, I was just even going to say he's 22nd in terms of EPA per play. It's not like he's been a world beater even when he's been healthy.
Okay, where are we at right now? Do we want to probably just take Lawrence here? We could go with a one-off Laporta. Unlike those guys run into each other.
Go Lawrence. I would say Lawrence because you're building in. I mean, let's just say the Eagles do get the bye.
This glue eater guy isn't taking a quarterback yet, and he does he have anything to go with here? I mean, I guess he probably was just going to take Josh Allen, so that might have been a throw on our part.
I mean, where's Purdy? Where did Purdy go? Did he got sniped on him? Yeah, he took Josh Allen. Whatever.
Yeah, he's just got to take Josh Allen, so that makes sense.
I mean, I've seen some bozo moves where somebody just snipes a second quarterback right before you. So I like, what are you really missing out on?
Yeah. So the goal here is we get Jerick McKinnon as our second running back. That way we're guaranteed a running back in the Super Bowl on the AFC side. I really hope that this guy doesn't snipe him.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good.
Um,
Okay, so it looks like we could field the starting roster in the Super Bowl, right? We got Eagles double stack, and then Jacksonville. Okay, actually, we would need another Jags pass catcher to be able to field
the Jags are most likely the 4 at this point. You pointed out, right?
Yeah, it's possible that they become the 3, but the Kansas City would really have to trip up for that to happen.
So, but that's what I mean. So either way, the Chiefs or the Jaguars are probably going to be the 4. The other's probably going to be the 2 or 3. So hypothetically there, you're still live for an AFC championship.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's possible that they could be AFC champion. It's not likely. You need something to happen probably where
you
like,
need a couple upsets,
say the Ravens lose to Buffalo in the first round or something like that, or they lose to the Colts or something.
Then they would play in the second round, though. Basically, what I'm saying is, like, if they're both the 3 and the 4, then you would assume.
Actually, yeah. I guess if they're both the 3 and the 4, then the
Dolphins, Ravens, Chiefs, Jaguars.
Okay, yeah. Actually, yeah, I would line up if everything broke normally then.
Yeah, and I mean,
come on, dude. This guy's been sniping us. Swift, Ridley, and now Ingram. He's been fucking sniping us, and Goddard, I guess, too.
Word grab. What weapons has he had besides this year? And even this year, the team has been better, especially with improvements on defense. Lions almost lost to them. It's the coaching. Yeah, like Fields.
Because we have the Eagles again, and I'm projecting them to have a bye. I'm gonna do the one-off Jefferson to try and advance.
More than cool with that. But real quick, what weapons has he had this year? I mean, you just talked about the fact that DJ Moore's having a career year. So, I mean, that's a clear weapon in my opinion. And B, I mean, with Justin Fields, Cole Kmet's a fine tight end. Their offensive line hasn't been the train wreck that maybe some people had coming into the year.
Their offensive line has been literally fine. Like, it hasn't even been bad at all.
Like, so, I mean, if we're looking at it realistically, like, yeah, the schematic issues they had at the beginning of the year you can point to, but they've really adapted very well. Justin Fields, he's a very electric player in any given ceiling week because of the rushing ability. Yeah, you can argue that he can win you a week, but at the same time, if 80+% of his action is him being a bottom tier quarterback in terms of passing, why would you pass up on Caleb Williams? Why would you pass up on Drake May? Why would you not reset that clock?
Yeah. What are your thoughts here? Do we go with Justin Watson probably and hope one of Zay Jones or Christian Kirk slides back?
I dig that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind that.
Probably our best option, I think. And okay,
Justin Watson's really interesting, by the way.
Do you take the risk on Christian Kirk, hoping that he's back in time for like divisional round, or do you just go with Zay Jones or Parker Washington even potentially?
Well, knowing that you're building around the Eagles, I probably go with Zay. Because he's still live to even outproduce Kirk when Kirk comes back.
Yeah, that's fair. He's probably just the smarter pick at this point. I'm actually surprised his ADP isn't a couple picks ahead of him.
Yeah. It's funny you think Caleb Williams will come into this situation and improve it with the play calling they have. Well,
they're going to change. They're going to fire their coach for starters. And Caleb Williams will have presumably a top tier receiver to work with along with DJ Moore. So it's not that we think Caleb Williams will come in right away and do it. It's just that if we're placing bets on Justin Fields being a franchise quarterback when he hasn't been one for 3 years, or rookie quarterback coming in who is a highly decorated Heisman Trophy winner, I'm putting my bet on Caleb Williams being like minus 250 to be a franchise quarterback versus Justin Fields being like plus 280 to be a franchise quarterback.
And that's probably, by the way, very cautious with those odds, because I think they're longer there for Fields. Even if you assume they both like had an even chance of being a start or a franchise quarterback. Logistically,
it's the team control aspect of it.
The 4 to 5 years of team control is everything.
They are going to fire their coaching staff, and their new coach will not want to be pigeonholed into trying to fix Justin Fields, because that also puts the new coach on the hot seat, risk of being one and done. Nobody will, like, if you were offered a job today and they said you might get fired a year from now because our company's in flux right now and we need you to turn this thing around really fast. Nobody wants to work for a company like that. If you were offered a job today where they said, hey, we have this exciting young new player coming into our company or whatever, and he's going to really turn this thing around, and we want you to be a big part of that, you would all choose the second company.
Yeah, and I mean, not to mention, even just for Poles' job himself, assuming he keeps that role as the GM, his lifeline is tethered to Justin Fields if he does not take a quarterback. Ownership knows that inherently. It depends how confident he is in 2 years. He can make Justin Fields of a starting, not only a starting, but a franchise caliber quarterback. And not to mention the downside there is, even if he makes Justin Fields, a top 10 level quarterback, like if Caleb Williams lives up to his ceiling, he's going to be better than Justin Fields. Flat out. He's going to be better than Justin Fields.
Yeah, he is.
And
he's 100% going to be better. And not only that, but like that move would come with criticism as well. Well, like if they stuck with Justin Fields, like teams around the league and the media and their fan base would all question them, which nobody wants to have to deal with too. Like, and like it's your job to make the tough decisions and you shouldn't care what your fan base or the media thinks. But like, I'm sure it factors in for ownership.
Yeah. And I mean, let me add to that real quick. Like I said, even if you hit on Justin Fields, let's just say he does become, a franchise caliber top 10 level quarterback. If Caleb Williams or Drake May end up better and they have more team control and those teams end up becoming Super Bowl contenders within the next 2 or 3 years, which is usually what we see happen from very, very good performing rookie second-year quarterbacks, your job's already on the line. Your job is already cut because you passed on that guy.
Yeah, for sure. Anyways, we could probably move on from this conversation. We've been talking about it for a while.
It's fascinating, though. It is.
And again, he says, Bryce Young, that was probably just a poor decision by Carolina altogether, to be honest.
They traded all their assets.
If they take CJ Stroud, we're not having this conversation.
Well,
but
not even just
I'm of the same belief that you are, because I am firmly in the camp that young quarterbacks need help. Hence why I'm such a big Brock Purdy guy, is because I see how much help he's getting. And like, two of the best quarterbacks to ever play started out as like system quarterbacks, Tom Brady and Joe Montana. And that's the power of building around your young quarterback. So I'm totally on the same page as you. It's just that this is not a apples to apples comparison at all, in my opinion. Like the Bears situation is much better off than the Carolina Panthers situation.
For sure. Not even Stroud would improve that team. My point exactly. Yeah, so I mean,
right. But again, this situation is not as bad as Carolina's. So I would agree with you. If the Bears roster was in the shape that Carolina's is in, I might be like, yeah, maybe you do want to go with Olu Fashanu at first overall, or trade down and take down. But like Arizona, for example, did. They didn't know if they were going to stick with Kyler. They were like, let's go with the safe, smart pick and take a franchise left tackle. That makes sense. But Chicago, if they drafted Caleb Williams and Malik Neighbors in the top picks and they hit both of them, and Malik Neighbors was a franchise caliber wide receiver, Caleb Williams is a franchise quarterback, we're talking about a legit potential playoff team right away.
Not only a playoff team, like within 2 years, you're probably looking at one of the top 4 contenders in the conference.
Yeah, and that's assuming they could figure things out on defense and all that kind of stuff. It's up in the air, but the point is they are not nearly as bad as the Carolina Panthers, and they have the draft assets to be able to build around their stuff, because they still have Carolina's pick next year too.
And real quick, very good point with Brock. The Panthers could have made it so much easier on themselves if they had just done the smart thing and traded Brian Burns at the deadline to the Rams for the 2 first-round pick.
No kidding. Also, I'm going to enter a playoff weekly winners. Again, very similar contest, except this one pays out weekly prizes instead of all the money at the end. So
Happy, yes, they should.
What's up?
Yes. No, I'm just addressing Happy. Yes, they absolutely should. If they got first overall, you're taking Caleb Williams.
I think it's more of a conversation point simply because
Murray's
Kyler Murray
way more
is better than Justin Fields.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're not doing another Fields or Hurts, are we?
Dude, I'm so sick of 103s, man. Like, I'm going to actually, like, give me a 101, man. Like, honestly, even a Mahomes leverage here? I haven't gotten any of them.
Do you go Mahomes leverage here?
Nah.
I respect it. I mean, you're going to have way better leverage spots to take Mahomes, I guess, but yeah.
So the playoff weekly winners should be on the lobby. It should be there. I'm going to run another one after this, so if you didn't get in this one, we'll walk you through it again. Yeah. I got nothing to do. My girlfriend's at a Christmas party probably till like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. So we could stay on here for another hour. I could care less. But yeah, the strategy, how does the strategy change to this contest in particular, do you think? Like, I have an answer for me, but what do you think?
Sorry, for what? My apologies.
This contest versus the gauntlet, how do you think the strategy changes?
Well, for starters, I mean, I guess you're just probably you're more likely to stack up the better teams.
Yeah, I guess you're definitely less scared of bye weeks, because even if you take a 0 in week 1, it doesn't matter because you're not competing with your 6-man draft room to try and advance your team. What you're competing with is the entire field. trying to score a bunch of points.
Well, I'm much more likely in this type of contest to overstack teams because the inherent value there is if you hit on the Super Bowl, it becomes a lot more valuable because you don't have to worry about the advance rates. That's how I view it. So I'm more willing to bypass an elite one-off for a stacking option in this contest, knowing that if you do hit on that stacking option and he does make the Super Bowl, you're going to have more opportunities to hit in that lineup.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with a Kelsey Mahomes here because I'm just annoyed of taking Jalen Hurts constantly.
Lamar with weapons around him is having a career year, not throwing for 300 yards a game. I mean, Lamar is just
trust
way
me, bro.
better.
We're on the same page. Quarterbacks need weapons. We got you. We 100% agree with you. But you're also getting him weapons too. Like Caleb would not walk into a barren situation. You have DJ Moore as Pro Bowl receiver. You have Cole Kmet, solid starting tight end. You'd be drafting Malik Neighbors, 1B wide receiver caliber.
I think he's talking about Fields here in terms of throwing the ball 300 yards a game.
Yeah,
flat out, man. Like, I think you're just way too high on Justin Fields until he proves he's even close to Lamar.
If Justin Fields went to the Atlanta Falcons and suddenly became a very strong,
solid
franchise quarterback, or he goes to the Buccaneers and throws to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin next year,
let them trade for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I just don't think the way Chicago should approach it is to keep Justin Fields. Anyways, let's put an end to this conversation. We talked about it for a while. Royer says start 2, CEH, D-Hop, Aaron Jones, non-PPR. I'd be rolling with Hopkins and Clyde, to be honest. I don't think Aaron Jones is going to end up playing. And
I don't think so either.
When he does play, they've severely limited him in his first games back. So I would probably err on the side of caution with him.
Is this Efren's brother?
No, I think their names might be spelt differently, their last names, but I'm not sure.
Royer, let us know.
You might be correct. I'm not sure. Don't cuck this, Spicy. I'm sure you're going to just be a good old boy and grab.
Be a good boy. Grab a dog.
Or maybe Ayuk or something. I don't know. I might go with Ayuk.
Who did he go in the first? Who did Spicy go in the first? Dog. Oh, he went CD then. Let's go. Patrick Mahomes.
A little Doc. Okay, so a lot of red badge bros in here. I think only Spicy Hot and us are the non-badge bros in here.
I mean, you got a black badge.
Yeah, I do. I have a black badge, but I don't have a red badge.
Fair. Yeah, I want to get a red badge.
Next convo. Why is Shane Steichen the GOAT? Shane Steichen is a fantastic coach. And if Anthony Richardson had stayed healthy, we might be talking about a 2-horse race for Offensive Rookie of the Year. And not that like Richardson looked like he was a superstar passer at the beginning of the season, but I think the sheer ability that he showed on the ground might be enough to just like flat out win the Colts games. And that's always going to play well for like the hands of like voters. It's like if the Colts had won 10 games to this point in the season, he might be what are you saying, sir?
Pacheco.
Isn't that negatively correlated?
I mean, if you're hitting on options to make the Super Bowl, I
would prefer Swift, to be honest.
So you're betting on the Eagles Chiefs?
Yeah, I would bet on the Eagles Chiefs instead and just hope that I can stack up like the rando Chiefs receiver with that. Because like the Chiefs are one of those teams that I'm like, yeah, I'll just punt and grab 2 Chiefs wide receivers late. Because I think any Chiefs wide receiver on any given week can have a big game.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
Anthony Richardson had 4 rushing touchdowns in 2.5 games, and he made our rushing game for the back so much better. Yeah, that the scheme difference is so dramatic for the Colts. Like, it's the easiest way to think about it is literally go look at the Carolina Panthers offense with Frank Reich and the Colts offense last year with Frank Reich, and then what the Colts offense looks like this year with Jonathan Taylor banged up, with Michael Pittman. I mean, he's been better this year, but it's not because he's like a better player. He just was the same player last year.
Rice, baby.
Is that what we want here? Yeah, probably, right?
Or Pacheco.
Pacheco sliding is fucking huge.
Yeah, that's big time.
Spicy can do the Lords here and not take them. That would be dope. I can't believe this guy goes with the double Achane Mostert. I mean, that makes sense, I suppose. Grab Kittle here, Spicy. Do the Lords.
And in weekly winners, I actually don't mind that at all.
Yeah, I don't think that's terrible for sure.
Is there?
Okay, so yeah, we grab Pacheco here. And we're able to, like, again, I think one thing that I would change up in weekly winners versus the gauntlet is I am very much more likely to take Justin Jefferson types in weekly winners.
Really?
Yeah, like guys that
I'm
you
more
think you might only get 1 week out. Like, and it
I
depends how your team is structured. If you
I
have,
think
an
it's the
Eagles stack
inverse.
where you're trying to not get that, but like if
I
you
think
built
it's the
out a
inverse.
Cowboys, Ravens, where you're focusing on that first week as well, why not take the one-off elite ceiling guy when you can win a weekly winners prize in that first game, and
I
then
mean,
everything else is gravy after that.
you could, but at the same time, you're assuming that you're competing against the whole field in that regard. Whereas if you can hit on a team that's overstacked, then you're having the opportunity to compete against less of a field that can field a full team.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's
how I view it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That sucks, by the way, that we got sniped on Rice. I actually like Goddard here.
Man.
Feels expensive, but I mean,
no, can't do it.
Really,
risking that Goddard falls. I think it's worthwhile.
Let's hope so.
It's a lot of running backs, I realize, but I think people will start to pivot back to the running backs here and take Gus off the board and all these guys. So hopefully Goddard falls back to us. This could have been a throw, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Like the nice thing about Kansas City is like we could just take 2 of these guys with our last 2 picks. You know what I mean? Like they're the one team that like just draft Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Sky Moore, and you might have a good game with them. You know what I mean? Like they just have no.
I mean,
a
lot.
Yeah, we should have seen that coming. He had Hurts.
Hey, worst case scenario, you get the last round knucklehead. It's not a big deal either.
Yeah. So okay, hold on. Let me see. Can we? I guess you're just hoping that you can feel like are you just taking the L in week 1? Is that how you like approach this? Is my
pretty much like it doesn't matter as much if you take the L in week 1.
That's what I mean. Like you don't have to focus on advancing, so it doesn't matter if you take the L in week 1.
Yeah, I honestly think I'm much more likely to overstack in the weekly winners than I am in the.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So,
okay, so I'm gonna.
Any Lions? Like you could go Goff here, maybe play that angle.
Yeah, I could, but then I'm just going to grab Ridley because I'm going to be really behind the 8 ball at wide receiver and tight end. You have to start 2 of them every single week, right? So if I went off there, you'd be just completely fucked.
That's fair, yeah.
I can grab a one-off like JMO later, I think, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is, I mean, I'm less familiar with this contest strategy because this is the first year they're doing it. So I'm a lot more familiar with like trying to focus on advance rates and stuff, and it's messing me up right now.
Yeah, facts.
Did this guy just take Justin Watson at pick 36?
Commitment to the grind, baby. I'm kidding.
Commitment to the Chiefs 49ers Super Bowl, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he could have done that with a lot more value given he's reached on, 4 of those picks.
Yeah. Bench 1 PPR, JJ, DJ Moore, Olave, or Devontae.
Olave.
Yeah, I would bench him, especially knowing he's got the flu.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's going to be that big. Did he also just take Kadarius Toney? What?
Did he actually just take Toney as well?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
So this guy's essentially just playing for a barn burner Super Bowl.
Fair enough. I mean,
So from my understanding, there's no actual benefit to stacking the Super. I mean, other than the field size being smaller.
There's no benefit on a weekly basis, but again, it's the intrinsic value of you can hit 3 of the weeks, and at least 1 or 2 of the weeks is going to be a thinned out field. So that would be the advantage.
We're playing for that week 1 matchup because
week 1 min cash, baby.
Not a min cash. You can win the max cash.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
We're playing for the Eagles not getting a bye, not the Eagles, the Chiefs not getting a bye, and the week 1 weekly winner. The rest of the contest is gravy for us at that point.
Is there any way the Chiefs even get the bye at this point?
It's possible for them. I would say it's probably unlikely though.
Like what? Like a sub 15% chance?
No, it's a 30% chance still.
Really?
Yeah. And the reason being is because they play Buffalo this week, but they play New England, Vegas, Cincinnati, and Los Angeles Chargers the weeks after that.
A lot of that can change if they lose to the Bills then.
Yeah, if they don't lose to the Bills though, they could get the bye for sure because they could sun run and go 5-0.
Yeah, no, I could see that too.
Royer says Montgomery 2 touchdowns, Kamara 2 touchdowns, CMC 2 touchdowns. What do you think of that bet, and who else could score 2 touchdowns? I like that one for sure. That one makes a lot of sense. I actually don't hate Eckler 2 touchdowns. I know that's a little nuts because he's been so bad lately, but I think the odds are very much depressed on a bet like that.
I'm just not trusting the Chargers offense at this point. I don't want to.
Should we just commit to the week 1 weekly winner?
I mean, fuck. At this point, you may as well.
Like, I don't know what else to go with here.
Is there any value of going with a second quarterback in this? I
don't think so.
I mean, I guess you're.
I mean, I guess let's do it because we have Ridley, so let's do it.
Yeah, that's fair, dog.
So we go with Lawrence and Mahomes. Again, this is kind of Jimmy janked at the moment. We have no idea how this is going to like actually play out. I guess we're not playing for the Super Bowl with this team. And again, maybe this is a throw on our part and we look like utter casuals, but this is literally my first playoff weekly winners draft ever.
Not to mention the one guy decided to take every single Chief 30 picks ahead of ADP.
Yeah, literally. So what else we got? Can't wait for Stroud versus A-Rich MVP next year. Jeez.
Yeah, that'd be hype.
Literally, I just want a CMC team as well. I wish I had a fucking single share of the guy, but I do not.
Real quick on this. I mean, like when Dak wins it this year and you can get your A-Rich next year, I'm cool with it.
Dude, get out of here. It's Tyreek. Everybody knows it's Tyreek winning.
No non-quarterbacks winning the MVP. I will put my stamp on that.
It's not happening. I think if we're being objective to the award, what is the most valuable player in the NFL this year?
It's a quarterback.
Tyreek Hill.
Value-wise, it's always a quarterback.
So then why are we saying why? No, but that's not true though. It's not always a quarterback.
The most valuable players in the league.
Who's the most valuable player on the Miami Dolphins roster?
That specific example, sure, he's more valuable than Tua.
You just said it's always quarterback.
He's not more valuable than Hurts. He's not more valuable than Dak. He's not more valuable than Mahomes. He's not more valuable than Josh Allen, and that's just this year. Like, even though he has a 2,000-yard year, all those guys are the engines of their offense, and they are the quarterbacks. EPA-wise, they are adding more points on a per-play basis than a wide receiver. We just have to accept that. Four non-quarterbacks have won it since 2000, and they were all running backs. One of them since 2010, and that was a legendary Adrian Peterson year. And I think we're not even at that point in terms of
I don't know. I think my opinion on the whole basis is, okay, you want to use that argument. It should be a quarterback because they're the most valuable. Sure, whatever. My opinion is we get a mundane milquetoast 38 touchdown season from the best quarterback in the league. What's more valuable, that or the fucking guy who breaks the receiving yards record?
38 touchdowns from the quarterback every single time.
That's value. That's such bullshit. That's not even like a rare occurrence.
And that's why
quarterbacks do that every year.
And that's why we should say it's the most outstanding player award. If it was the most outstanding player, then you can rationalize giving it to a wide receiver, giving it to another position. But because the nature of the award is called most valuable, it's a quarterback's award. Whether we like it or not, it's a quarterback's award.
Yeah.
It sucks because I mean Tyreek Hill,
but I do understand it.
Like I want to give Tyreek Hill it, but realistically, it's going to end up being a quarterback, and it's probably going to be one of the three from the NFC, giving betting odds between Purdy, Dak, and Hurts. To be honest,
yeah. Also, I can't. If Purdy wins the MVP, like everyone has to shut the hell up about him not being a real quarterback. Like if the NFL votes this guy MVP, like
it's going to be because of narrative
getting carried. Like I'm sorry.
It's going to be because of narrative, though, because, I mean, realistically, like...
Okay, what are we going to do here with this last pick?
I mean, we're not going with Sky Moore.
Well, what else are we supposed to do?
Well, anything else. I mean, we got Jameson Williams. I can't handle it. Fucking go up. I mean, if it's a weekly winners, I don't mind playing for an Andrews. But then again, we kind of baked in the
We're playing early for this team, so I'm going with Sky Moore, and we have it alive in the Super Bowl then by going with Sky Moore, right? Because we have 4 Chiefs then plus 2.
So we had Mahomes and that guy
or 1 Eagle.
Wait, hold up. So we had Mahomes and that guy reached on all the Chiefs you can imagine. Nate's?
That would be correct. Yeah, he had Purdy and Ayuk, and then he went for the Chiefs side of the Super Bowl in that game.
What a cock! You're reaching on everyone 30 picks ahead of ADP just because you want your Super Bowl opponent. Cock.
Well, you love to see it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, kudos.
Also, so my opinion. My opinion on this contest is, and I hate to say this because me and you, like, we obviously are hoping for a motivated Buffalo Bills. Maybe you're not because your team is playing against them next week. I'm hoping for a motivated Buffalo Bills team coming off of a nice win versus Kansas City to make for a better game that we're about to watch.
Yeah, I mean,
like that would make it more fun. No, like, do you think the Buffalo Bills have nearly like maybe there's even more urgency? I don't know.
I think
maybe
there is more
Kansas City, there's even more urgency, but I think.
I don't think they lose this
better
week.
if they were coming off of the win to Kansas City rather than a loss.
For the record, I think they're going to win this week. Coming off the bye week, hearing all the scrutiny that they have, knowing that the majority of their problems have come from the turnover perspective and from injuries on defense, a week to get ready, a week to rest up on the defensive side, and obviously a week to work out some of the kinks from the turnover perspective. And not to mention, I mean, this is just not the same Chiefs team. It's not. Like, realistically, the Bills on paper at this point are a better football team than the Chiefs. Obviously, you got to play it on the gridiron. That's the beauty of the game of football, but I think they're winning this game, and I think they're going to build some momentum, and we're going to see a 7-6 Bills team going up against a 10-3 Cowboys team next week.
Ethan, the 49ers with Sam Darnold might literally have the exact same record they have now. Just saying. And I love Brock Purdy, but they would probably have the same exact record.
They would. With Darnold? Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they lose to the Eagles. That's the only game they lose.
They won by 23 points. Even if we think Brock Purdy's the best quarterback on the planet, is that really erasing 23 points?
I think the narrative that like Brock Purdy is a game manager, like system quarterback, is actually more true about Tua than it is about Brock Purdy. And I think both guys are good quarterbacks and both guys are franchise caliber quarterbacks. But I actually think that the one that gets carried more is Tua.
Well, where do you view them in respect to the quarterback position?
I think both guys are top 15 NFL quarterbacks, probably in the 10 to 15 range.
Yeah, I would say that's around fair. Now, the thing is, like, because evaluating them versus a guy like Kyler versus a guy like Stafford versus a guy like Cousins
or something like that.
That's where it's tough because
like, you can tell me right now that Kirk Cousins would be better on the 49ers, and I'd probably I would say you're outrageously wrong.
I mean, I don't know why I keep putting this into my head because it's a scary thought to even think of, knowing that that's probably my second rival in the NFL. But I'm just thinking the season that Dak is having right now, like if he was on the Niners, like would they lose a single game? Would they? Like, yeah, genuinely?
That'd be crazy. Imagine if we like galaxy brain like Mahomes on the Niners.
Jesus Christ.
Like, imagine having a quarterback like that on San Fran. Anyways, go to the homepage if you guys want to get into this draft, playoff weekly winners. Going to run another one here. And hopefully maybe we'll try and play for the Super Bowl this time.
Yeah.
Also, I did actually, I want to showcase some of the pick'ems that I did as well, because I did do this one here. This one I thought was really interesting. So I insured this. So I only have to get 3 of these right to win 400 and something bucks or whatever on a $25 thing. But it is Zach Wilson losing a fumble, Dameon Pierce to score a touchdown, Cade Otton to score a touchdown, and Drake London to score a touchdown. Big galaxy brain, but a $12.50 payout if it hits, and a 400 and something payout if 3 of them hit.
So like run me through this real quick on
I'm just making sure that the draft isn't going.
So go back up because it's spicy picks. There's the
so basically, when you go to Underdog's Pick'ems here and you go like to the NFL, the picks that are like, is this gonna work for me? The picks that are not, let me like actually have this work would be dope.
Because I'm more so just curious because I haven't been able to do a pick'em obviously since last year, or since last time I went to Buffalo.
So okay, I don't know why it's not loading right now, but basically here we go. Basically what it is like if the odds of the pick'em are like not 50-50 or close to 50-50, there's like this spicy thing, and it'll say like higher 1.25x or 1.5.
So it's scaled
1.75x, whatever. It's probably correlated to like the Vegas odds of like an anytime touchdown or whatever for that player.
For the record, Brock, I agree. I think healthy Stafford's a clear top 10 quarterback for me, like 9 or 10. I would say him and Rodgers would be around there. Maybe this year because you're putting Stroud up there, they're more so like 10 and 11. But healthy Stafford is phenomenal. I'm a big
Stafford's
guy.
Great.
Big Stafford guy. Like I understand people might look at the box score this year, and obviously they're down relative to what we've expected in these last couple of years. But that was largely due, especially at the early portion of the year, to a guy like Kyron Williams just getting a rushing touchdown every single week, him not scoring in that regard, and him getting unlucky in terms of the turnovers. But you watch that guy play, like he can sling it with basically any quarterback in the NFL at this point, arm talent wise.
Yeah, no, he's a great player for sure.
Yeah. No, big time Stafford fan. Funny enough, man, like I heard someone galaxy brain this. I want to gauge your thoughts. I've heard someone galaxy brain like with the Rams, like maybe after this year they view that they're out of contending window. Would you see any Stafford back to Detroit type of nonsense?
That'd be a
That'd be
big,
so fun.
whoever Galaxy Brain that is on some shit for sure.
That'd be fun though. Could you
It's
imagine?
also semi-irritating that Stafford's Detroit Lions are bad. Like, were bad the entire time that they
Now
had
they're
Stafford, and now that they're actually a functional team, they don't have Stafford. But that would be pretty fun. I think it would, for that to be the narrative, Goff would have to flame out in spectacular fashion in the wild card game against like Green Bay or Minnesota by throwing 3 or 4 picks.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like, if they don't win a playoff game this year, what are the odds that the Lions, knowing the roster, knowing that the assets they have, don't try to upgrade a quarterback? Because realistically, if he loses as a home favorite in the wild card round to the Packers or the Rams or the Seahawks or the Vikings, how could you realistically make the case that he can continue being the quarterback there?
No, he probably can't make the case for sure.
Yeah. No, it is fascinating.
Also, one thing I actually wanted to show you as well is one of my season-long pick'ems, not that one. This one is actually going to hit.
I remember that one. I remember when you placed that.
Yeah, it was 5 picks for 200. Don't look at the actual tracking. For some reason, it's not working. But Amon-Ra has already surpassed this number, so that's going to hit. Cooper Kupp has missed too much time. He's not going to hit this number.
How many
does
Dotson have?
Good. Jahan Dotson has exactly 4 receiving touchdowns right now, so he actually would need 1 more. And he only has 4 weeks left to do it because they're on bye this week.
Addison has like 7 touchdowns. So
Addison's already cleared that, and Traylon Burks ain't sniffing 825 yards. So
fuck, man. That's so sad.
That one's definitely gonna hit, I would imagine. So that's pretty cool.
That's so sad with Burks, man. Like, I understand.
I don't think that Burks is dead. I don't think he's dead.
I don't think so
that
either.
It's possible because of the prospect profile that Traylon Burks had, and because of what his skill set was, and the fact that he was a raw prospect coming out.
He's shown flashes.
If somebody was going to do the Nico Collins thing, I could see it being Traylon Burks.
And not to mention, I mean, the difference, people might say, well, how can you say that about Burks, but then, like we shit on QJ? At least with Burks, we saw flashes of him being a good player. The only problem is that due to injury, due to inconsistency.
For what it's worth, too, Jameson Williams could also do the Nico Collins thing as well.
Yeah.
I don't think it's likely because I think Burks was a better prospect than Jameson Williams.
I agree.
And at least target earning ability, we've seen more out of Burks. But Jameson Williams is scoring touchdowns most of the time he touches the ball, at least. So that bodes well for him.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, now we're at pick 4.
And again, we must decide, do we go Chiefs, Eagles, or Cowboys? Because that's the only picks we get.
We haven't done a Cowboy in a while.
I want a 49ers team so fucking bad. It's making me want to just take Ayuk right now.
I don't know. You know where my pick would be.
I'll oblige you. We'll go CeeDee Lamb.
Let's go. That's okay. When the Cowboys make the Super Bowl, you'll be. I'm kidding. The Niners are gonna win it, man. Fuck.
Yeah, Stroud actually reminds me of Stafford, but even a bit better. Yeah, I don't think that's a horrible take. I think he's a winning version of Dak.
What's he won?
More games than
what?
No, I'm just kidding. He's like, elevated the play of his teammates better than Dak has ever done. Let's just say that.
This year's Dak?
Not this year's Dak. I'm saying in general.
Rookie Dak, who had one of the top
great
3
team, dude. Get out of here.
Sure, but I mean, your wide receiver 1 that year was Dez Bryant.
Right, but you also had the best running back in the league and the best offensive line in the league.
For sure, but I mean, again, your best receiver was Dez Bryant.
Yeah, okay. We'll steer clear of this conversation before we go down a rabbit hole.
No, I'm not arguing. Stroud's having a better rookie season than Dak did. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like,
yeah. Do we want to Galbrain Lamar here?
I mean, I don't hate that. Yeah, we could do.
I don't think that's a bad call because then we can. I think
Ravens
we can veer one time, even 2, before we take Zay into like an Ayuk or a St. Brown or something like that.
Yeah. For the record, by the way, I'm a
Lamar here. I have, first of all, I have no faith in either of the 3 seeds in either conference to make any noise. Like the current 3 seed is Baltimore in the AFC and Detroit in the NFC. And to be honest, I don't think either of them will make it to the divisional round. I think they'll both lose not the divisional round, the championship round.
Real quick, by the way, I have to elaborate. Big time Dez Bryant fan. You guys see I have a jersey hanging in the background, but 2016 version of Dez Bryant was not, prime 2012, 2013, 2014 version. Had to make sure that was on the table because that's not intended to be slander because obviously in this guy's prime, he was a stud.
But shout out Dez Bryant too. Follows both of us on Twitter.
Amen. 13 win rookie season, by the way. Big time 13-3 Cowboys. I believe that year, 2 of the losses were to the Giants, and the last loss, the third loss, was in a meaningless Week 18 game to the Eagles, where Dak played, I think, half of the first quarter.
Also, speaking of Dak's rookie season, could you not argue that Dak was Brock Purdy that year?
Oh yeah, I think he could.
How many quarterbacks have developed with the absence of talent around them?
I don't necessarily think the situation's comparable.
I don't think the situation is apples for apples. I just mean Dak had a lot around him, and he was able to develop. Yeah, Brock Purdy has a lot around him, and he's able to develop. Josh Allen, when he developed, had a lot around him, and he's been able to develop. Patrick Mahomes had a lot around him, and he's been able to develop. Like, what's an ongoing trend with all of these teams that the quarterbacks that have a lot around them develop. Like, not a lot of quarterbacks come in and, like, CJ Stroud has elevated the play of all of his teammates, but maybe individually they are all just better than we thought as well.
What's funny, real quick, on Dak's rookie season is I'm going to sound like a hater for saying this. I don't mean it in that way, because obviously Hurts is a better rusher than Dak was, but the way they won was relatively similar, where Dak has developed over the years into the cerebral pocket passer he's become. But rookie year Dak, it was straight out of structure. It was straight bootleg. It was just straight getting him in space, letting him create with his legs. And people, get stunned. Like, don't compare that to Hurts. Obviously, Hurts second year, third year MVP candidate. But it's like, were their seasons really all that different as passers? And again, Hurts advantage because he had, X amount of rushing touchdowns, more rushing success. But at the same time, as passers, it was more so efficiency rather than the volume that they won on, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we're going to be talking a lot of football, and I'm going to be talking a lot of Cowboys.
Yeah, so. Spicy, that is exactly what it means.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson and Trey Lance both should have hit. Given the talent that was around them when they were able to develop as players, both of those quarterbacks should have been hits. It's totally on them. And it doesn't mean that every quarterback that has good talent around them will hit. It's if the quarterback's actually good, the talent around him will elevate their play. But sometimes the guy just isn't good. And Trey Lance, Zach Wilson just aren't good, unfortunately.
Yeah.
As much as I liked both of them coming out of school.
Yeah. Now, for the record, does that mean a guy like Trey Lance is completely dead?
Yes.
Completely?
I will put a fork in Trey Lance and say that he's dead. I know you're biased now, and I guarantee
I'm not.
Other team.
For the record, if he were to pop off, it wouldn't be on the Cowboys. I'm just saying, it's like working behind Dak, working with Mike. Maybe he develops that part of his game. A team takes a chance on him as a bridge. Maybe he impresses then. I think it's very unlikely he actually develops into a franchise quarterback. But in 2 years' time, could I see him being like a bridge and getting another opportunity to get some starts?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Imagine if Andrew Luck went to this Colts team instead of the Colts team he went to with Shane Steichen as his coach. Imagine how much better of a quarterback. He'd probably be on a Hall of Fame trajectory right now.
Oh man, yeah, that'd be pretty damn ridiculous.
Like even Trevor Lawrence couldn't overcome a bad situation.
Pollard was off the board, right?
I took him.
Oh, I didn't even notice. My fault. I missed that. I was like, wait, what? Fair play. Yeah.
This is an interesting take. What would CJ Stroud have to do to win the MVP? Not just rookie of the year, MVP.
As much as I
win his division for sure. He would have to win the AFC South.
As much as I hate this argument, I don't think he's live to at this point, because I think the MVP winner is going to be on a team that wins at least 13 games. Whether it's the Cowboys, the 49ers, or the Eagles, I think one of the MVP is going to come from one of the three teams. It could definitely be if Tua keeps popping off.
I think there's zero chance that Tyreek, if a Dolphins player won the MVP, it would not be Tyreek Hill. That I will 100%.
Well, that's what kind of makes
you want to say it's Purdy or Dak or Jalen Hurts for sure. But if the Miami Dolphins player
I agree with
MVP and it was not Tyreek Hill, it is the biggest oversight in the history of sports.
Brother, I completely agree with you. And that's kind of why I think they kind of eliminate both of each other's cases, even though I think Tyreek Hill's the more valuable player for them.
Do I take a one-off for Shea here?
What are the other options?
I
also don't mind Gibbs.
I think I can get another Cowboys player for sure later on, and I know I can get more Ravens.
I also don't mind Gibbs because it's unlikely the Cowboys and the Lions play in the first round.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna roll with the team that I think goes further. Kansas City.
Yeah. So I mean, you could always backdoor Gibbs if he falls, or is David Montgomery? David Montgomery went. Damn, fuck.
Yeah.
There goes Gibbs.
Yeah, I mean Cooks. I can still get Cooks and Ferguson here later on.
Easy backdoor.
And same with Beckham and.
Where's Keaton Mitchell's ADP?
He's right here.
Oh, I also don't mind taking him and then seeing which Cowboys
Did Gus
receive
go
most
already?
footballs. Yes, he goes in like top 25.
Oh, right. Yeah. I would 100% be more on the side of taking Keaton Mitchell. I think I will take Mitchell with this next pick if he falls.
I love that. And then hopefully
Cooks or Ferguson falls back,
yeah.
they should.
And then worst case scenario, you backdoor like a Tolbert or
who has
something.
Dak here? This guy has Dak, so it's possible he would double tap Cooks and Ferguson. I might have to take Cooks here.
Yeah, fuck.
He's not likely to take another running back. He already has Mostert and Montgomery.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I don't hate that. The only problem,
And Keaton just went. Sweet. This guy already had 2 running backs too. Nice team.
Awesome.
Here, you fucking nincompoop.
Let's get 2 tight ends at least. Let's go,
okay,
baby.
so we grab Cooks, I guess.
Honestly, for you got to do it given the ADP leverage at this point, but
yeah, I mean, we could take McKinnon with our next pick later on, or what we also could do is just like
overstack Cowboys.
I was gonna say overstack Cowboys, but at running back we're gonna need another one most likely. We can just take Bijan or Kamara or JT, somebody that's like a great 1 week player to hope that we get 2 weeks out of them.
Yeah, no, I dig that. I dig that as well.
Because some of these guys, like, you can talk yourself into, like, dude, if I got 2 weeks of Jonathan Taylor in the playoffs, like, he's going to be a really worthwhile pick in, like, the 7th or 8th round. Or, like, if I got 2 weeks of Justin Jefferson in the playoffs, like, that'd be pretty crazy. And all you need them to do is win 1 game for that. I feel more confident that, this is exactly another example of this, dude. If you dropped a different quarterback prospect in Kenny Pickett's situation, how quickly are they looking like a franchise quarterback versus Kenny Pickett?
Year 1.
Yeah, exactly. Kenny Pickett isn't good. So he looks like he's being carried by his offense because he is.
I mean,
like whenever he has a good game, it's because Pickens did some crazy shit or Deontay did some crazy shit or Freiermuth did some crazy shit.
He threw a couple picks, but you can't tell me that Mitch Trubisky looked demonstrably worse than Kenny Pickett would in that game against Patriots.
Yeah. Do I go with Fergo here or do I go with McKinnon?
I like Ferguson here.
Yeah, I think I should.
I like Ferguson.
Because I actually don't mind, too, just having a skinny Lamar Zay and, like, not even addressing the rest of the Ravens core.
Well, then, because I think in this scenario, do you maybe want to leverage that with a second quarterback?
Maybe, yeah. I could maybe go with the second quarterback. The best option is probably, what could be sneaky is
Dobbs and Jefferson.
Yeah, that's what I was. Jefferson just went. Yeah. Shit. Okay, I was gonna say Dobbs and Jefferson though. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured.
We could go.
Andrews is also very interesting.
Allen is still on the board too. We could go Allen and Davis.
Ooh.
Or Kincaid.
The only issue. Actually, wait, no. The only issue is that, like, if Lamar plays them in the first round, anyways, you're getting Lamar points. But
yeah, I mean, it's possible that they don't play in the first round. Like, there's a number of scenarios in which they would. But I think if Buffalo gets into the playoffs, they'll be the 7 seed, and they'll probably be more likely to play Kansas City than Lamar.
Now, a question I have is, are we gal-braining Mark Andrews at some point, too? Do you want to take Andrews now and then hope the quarterback falls back? Because I do think
Andrews, actually.
Because if we're betting...
Because, I mean, those are the guys you want. Zay, Andrews, and Lamar on the Ravens. Yeah. That's all the points. So
we're probably going to have a 2-2-6 here.
We need a fucking running back still, too.
We do. Kamara.
I mean, Cook would make sense as well if we go with Allen.
Yeah, I would love that as well. I think that's...
We could always just, like, go Allen naked with Cook. But I don't know if we're going to get both.
For sure.
Somebody's got to have Diggs at some point. And this guy just auto-drafted Cook, which is sweet.
Awesome.
Who has Diggs?
Probably Rodman.
This guy he already has Hurts and Dak, and he has 4 running backs, so he's clearly brain dead.
Sorry.
It is funny when people just like have no fucking idea how to do these tournaments. Like, that's why I think these are fun tournaments, because it's like you getting some soft rooms.
You're getting some absolute potatoes on the other end.
Like there's some absolute sand eaters.
Some sand eaters, man.
Some fucking, what was that guy's name? Glue Eater?
Glue
Eater.
Guy's
name was literally Glue Eater.
Literally Glue Eater. By the way, appreciate you. Appreciate the 19 of you that are still watching. An hour and 53 in.
Yeah, we're just messing
Shooting the
around
shit.
at this point. Happy Friday, guys. Dobbs or Russ this week? I would go Russell Wilson, dude. I think this is the game that gets Brandon Staley fired. I'll put money on it right now.
Wow.
The Broncos are going to win this game, and Brandon Staley's going to get fired.
For the record, I have Russell Wilson at quarterback 13, Dobbs at 14. So I actually would go with Russell Wilson as well.
I'm just making sure that the Ravens and fucking Bills don't play each other, so I'm not being stupid. I mean, at the rest of the season, not in the playoffs.
Yeah,
because that would affect obviously the situation. But yeah, we got Josh Allen like fucking 20 picks after ADP.
Yeah, you kind of have to.
I'll take naked Josh Allen any day of the week. Pause.
Amen. You need a running back, by the way. You can't take a receiver.
Yeah, I can't take a wide receiver. You're right. So naked Josh Allen. Do we go?
Kamara, Kyron. How is fucking Eckler so high? How are the Chargers going to make the fucking playoffs?
Yeah, what? I know, right?
Like, I actually don't mind Zach Moss
here.
there.
The safest bet to make the playoffs is very clearly the Browns of these remaining teams.
Yeah, the Browns, but I also don't hate the Rams call. Because
like the Browns right now are minus 215 to make the playoffs, and none of their players get drafted ever.
Snack Ford.
I'm going to grab Ford here.
Also, what are the odds that the Browns and the Ravens actually play in the playoffs?
They'd be decently high, I suppose, because the Ravens will be like a middle seed and the Browns will be probably 5 or 6. So they'd be pretty high, but you just got to hope basically that they don't. Or if they do, I mean, if they do and Pollard has a dud in week 1, like, again, we're not focused on advance rates, so it doesn't really fucking matter. But if we get a good game out of Ford in the first game and that gets us enough to, like, who knows? Ford maybe is the missing piece because he breaks off a 75-yard touchdown or something.
Yeah.
So part of me wants to do another gauntlet just because I have 30 left in my account. And I want to
one more.
I need one more shot at the 101, dude. I'm
baby.
frankly irritated that I haven't gotten one yet.
We've been on almost 2 hours.
It says some tomato cans, if you will.
Yeah. By the way, Bush, you're going to be disgusted. What do you think my sleep schedule was last night?
Did you go to bed at 4 a.m. and wake up at noon today?
The inverse, because I had to do the wide receiver video, right? I fell asleep in the third quarter of the Lakers game at like 10:30-ish. Okay. I woke up at 2:30 in the morning. I woke up and I'm like, oh, cool. The Patriots won. Oh, cool. The Lakers smacked the fucking Pelicans. Because when I fell asleep, it was a relatively close game. I woke up, they won by fucking 40 plus points. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? So at 2:30, we're talking about, like, again, I have a lot of time to just get some sleep, fucking, wake up, finish my video and everything. Could not fall asleep.
So you woke up at 2:30 this morning?
Woke up at 2:30 this morning, got 4 hours of sleep, and I have not slept since.
Okay, well, you need to go to bed after this stream is done.
I might go play some pool, but yeah, no, did the wide receiver video, got that, edited the video for Flock Fantasy. By the way, if you guys are over on Flock Fantasy, our early top 6 quarterbacks in order. We broke them down. We each watched some game film on them, kind of give you their strengths, kind of give you their weaknesses, their overall comparison. So you guys
for the 2024 draft, by the way, I don't know if you specified that. So we went through, and me and Danny each like broke down in game film on Caleb Williams, on Drake May, on Michael Penix, on Bo Nix, on JJ McCarthy, and on who's the other one that I'm forgetting? Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, correct. Exactly. Yeah. So
and we're going to do the same thing for wide receivers this week and then running backs the week after if we have any left in the class that don't go back to school. And we probably won't do one for tight ends, I would imagine. Like there's like 2 tight ends that are relevant in this draft, but maybe we'll do like a mini
2 wide receivers,
Jatavion Sanders and Brock Bowers session.
We could potentially make it so that we talk about our top 5 wide receivers and then our 6 through 10 so that we can spend more time on them. We could do that.
Yeah, that would actually, you know what we could do instead is talk about our top 5 wide receivers, our top 5 pass catchers, and then our 6 through 10 pass catchers.
Yeah,
and then we can group Brock Bowers and Jatavion Sanders in with the wide receivers.
I dig that.
The problem is there's 10 good wide receivers in this class.
Fuck.
Who's wide receiver 10 in this class? Adonai Mitchell? Like, there's like a good 10 great prospects in this class.
And although he's not going to pop off analytically, I know, like, for example, a guy like Xavier Legette has been getting some first round hype. So I'm definitely going to have to watch him just to see, like, is this like a Jonathan Mingo type of profile? But yeah, we'll have to check in on it. Or break down an yes. So
I'm glad Brock brings this up. So right now we're doing in December, for the month of December, we're doing like early like rankings for the site for Flock, breaking down our prospects to get you guys ahead of your league mates. But we will be doing our weekly private video that you guys will only have access to if you're a member on Flock using code FSE. Will be a film breakdown of me and Danny. What we'll end up doing, we've already kind of talked about this, so we can give you guys a sneak peek. What we'll probably end up doing is watching, let's say, 2 games of film or maybe 3 games of film or something on, let's say, Marvin Harrison Jr. to start. And I'll have broken down the first game of film on my own beforehand. Danny will have broken down the other game of film on his own beforehand. And each of us will kind of lead the film breakdown for that game. So let's say we're watching Marvin versus Michigan, and I break down that, or you broke down that. That would actually make more sense. And then Marvin versus, let's say, I don't know,
Penn State,
he plays in the fucking bowl game this week or something, or this coming week or whatever.
I'd be shocked if he plays in the bowl game, but even if, like, you still have,
regardless, we just pulled 2 games of his film, and one of us is going to lead the charge on that, but we are going to break it down live and get your guys' reactions while we're doing it and answer questions that we need to go over. And again, like, neither of us are NFL draft scouts. We're not going to go super nitty gritty and details and, you know, this is the technique and that's the, like, we're fantasy players breaking this down. So it's going to be super fun. And we're going to talk about stuff that, like, is relevant to fantasy as well, especially once we get a full understanding of who's in this class is when we'll actually start that, because early declares need to declare by like January 15th or something. So we probably won't do that until at least January 15th, but we'll probably do that like the entire month of February and March. It's just going to be us breaking down prospects.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Okay, so I'm going to enter one more gauntlet. We're going to pray that this is the magic bullet and we get this one into the 101. Maybe I'm being blessed by the fantasy gods and Christian McCaffrey goes down in week 1 of the NFL playoffs and the 49ers lose or something like that. And of course I have the 104. Like, good
dude,
Lord, man.
How many times you can get the 104 in these fucking rooms?
I don't know, but should I draft more Elijah Mitchell just to fucking leverage against the fact that I have no 101s?
I mean, you have to. You have to.
I guess I'm just expecting the 49ers to get bounced in round 1 too, because I don't have any 49ers, period. Like, I'm getting like the odd Ayuk one-off, the odd Kittle one-off, but like, I need some real things here. I need some real stacks. If I had to pick a team to win the Super Bowl right now, I would pick the 49ers, and I can't stack them in this contest.
It's okay. I mean, at the end of the day, by the way, I would agree, but to help you cope, when the Cowboys get that rematch, you know, get over the hump finally, and
not gonna
happen. For the record, the 49ers.
You better hope the 49ers get bounced before you guys got to play them. That's all I'm going to say.
I mean, who the fuck else is going to bounce them if not for us? The Eagles aren't.
I mean, you got to hope, I guess, Detroit does it.
Nobody is, man.
Detroit's your best bet, right?
Are they?
Well, yeah, because no other team would play them unless Green Bay somehow upsets Detroit.
I would like our chances against the 49ers more than I would like the Lions.
If Green Bay does that, then the Eagles would hypothetically have the 1 seed in that situation. So they would play the Eagles and you would have to play the 4. I think either way, the Cowboys got to play them both. You got to take them both down, unfortunately.
Probably will have to. I agree. I'm
okay.
not, for the record, if we have to go into Philadelphia, I'm
just a noted Eagles fan at this point in time, because my exposure to the Eagles stack.
I mean, you got to take Hurts when he falls to 4.
Yeah, like I have so many Eagles stacks in this content. Like, let me look at my
Brock. Literally, like, it's. I don't know how to describe it, but if you were to look at the 49ers roster, how many future Hall of Famers can you point out?
Look at the Eagles exposure. Goddard and Swift, A.J. Brown.
How many Cowboys you got? 11%. Yeah, that's
11%.
Decent.
Just one Cowboy. Well, with Dak, at least. I mean, I have more Pollard. I have him in 3. And I have a one-off Lamb, I think, an extra one too. So, I'm in
real quick. By the way, future Hall of Famers on the 49ers. Trent Williams. George Kittle probably makes it, assuming he continues at the level he's at. George Kittle probably makes it.
I'm taking a one-off Kelsey here. AJ went, so
George Kittle probably makes it. And then defensively, Nick Bosa.
I don't know if George Kittle would make the Hall of Fame. To be
You don't
honest,
think so? I mean, look
no,
at
I don't
him
think
relative
so.
to the tight end.
No,
Look
I
at
don't
him
think
relative
so.
to the tight end
I think
position.
George Kittle is a great tight end, and he has a chance to
Well,
make the Hall of Fame. He would probably need a number of really strong years still, and a Super Bowl ring.
I mean, what are the tight ends in the Hall of Fame? And I'll tell you.
The only guaranteed Hall of Famers on the 49ers are Trent Williams and Christian McCaffrey, in my opinion.
Keith Jackson was a Hall of Famer.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can.
Like, if Keith Jackson's a Hall of Famer, I don't see how George Kittle isn't.
There's going to be probably a bit of a pileup of tight ends, though, is the only problem once George Kittle is eligible for the Hall of Fame.
I mean, but like outside of Travis Kelce, which one are you taking over him in the era? He would be number 2.
Yeah, that's true.
So, like, yeah, and then those 2, Christian McCaffrey on offense. So that's 3 on offense alone. Bosa probably ends up there. I think Fred Warner will end up going there.
Yeah, I mean, with those 2 guys, yeah, but like also they could fall off and not like I'm not putting like 5th-year players in the Hall of Fame yet.
Okay, let's just say a Hall of Fame talent. Does that help?
Yeah, Hall of Fame talents. I'll give you that.
Okay. So like we're looking at
what
5
the
or 6
hell
Hall
am I
of Fame
supposed to do
talents.
now? I guess Pacheco.
Yes, that's the answer. Or Swift.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Pacheco and hope that maybe Swift falls back to me because I have 1 million Swift shares already.
But like,
I guess I'm just the universe wants me to be an Eagles fan again this year because last playoff best ball season I drafted so many Philadelphia Eagles and I was like, I'm just an Eagles stan, I guess. Yeah. And this year I'm gonna be in the same spot.
Grossest thing I've ever heard.
What?
Being an Eagles stan.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Okay, he went, so I need Rasheed probably.
Yeah, that's always just a cock.
So we going naked Jalen, I guess. Or I guess Goddard, who I have 1 million shares of already as well.
Yeah. Oh man.
You know who never falls in these drafts? A-Chain. I've never seen this guy fall past ADP.
He always seems to go top 15.
Yeah.
Oh, he goes 23 here.
No, his ADP is like 22, but I never see him
fair.
fall to like 27. You know what I mean? Like he's always like right at his ADP or before.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, this will be an interesting draft because I got the Eagles Chiefs rematch here. So,
how many of those combinations do you have so far?
Eagles Chiefs, a couple.
This is like the 3rd since we started the stream.
I just got double sniped, man. Like Goddard goes, and then Mostert would have been a nice one-off to veer into. Like, what on earth do I even do here?
Do you go Lions, assuming that the Eagles?
Am I gonna have to? Yeah, I probably have to because like I can't default.
Or Jags.
I'm just gonna default back to my Jaguars every single time.
Your call. I mean, for what it's worth, I see a plausible case the Jaguars win the AFC. I don't see a plausible case the Lions do.
I'm gonna go Lions just because I have so many correlated Jaguars Eagles things already. So
facts. Bush is too smart and not an ass enough to fit in as an Eagles fan. Yeah, real.
Yeah, I don't know about too smart, but I make some brain dead stuff sometimes.
Brother. I'm surprised I haven't said something utterly ridiculous given the fact that I'm on no sleep right now.
Yeah.
I've been cooking.
I guess I gotta go and heart some Chiefs here. Here's the nice thing about Kansas City is that you can get guys late.
Facts. I'm gonna draft Kool-Aid and
do I double cuck the Lions running backs here, don't I?
Yeah, let's go, baby. Let's go.
Or do I take Goff?
Montgomery, set the tone.
Yeah.
You have Hurts. Plus two, we just mentioned negative correlation with the running back and quarterback, and that would literally.
But Hurts,
and I guess both running backs
has a bye though is the problem.
Fair.
And this is a gauntlet, not a playoff weekly winners.
Fair. Raiders going to draft Kool-Aid. He's going to be arrested during OTAs. I'm just mapping out the scenario. JJ McCarthy does awesome in the college football playoff. Michigan wins the Natty, and then the Raiders sign up with Jim Harbaugh and draft JJ McCarthy at the 8th overall pick.
I saw wasn't JJ or not JJ Harbaugh going to sign an extension?
He was rumored, but they paused talks, is what I saw.
They hit the pause button, eh?
Yeah. I mean,
Fingers
if
crossed.
Michigan wins the Natty and Harbaugh wants us to just say that's my Michigan legacy, I don't want all this fucking shit tainting me going forward. And he wanted to, part amicably at that amicably at I can't even speak. Holy fuck.
Amicably.
Yes. At that point, I can understand it, but if Michigan doesn't win the Natty, I think he's coming back, and I think JJ McCarthy is also alive to come back to Michigan for the record.
Yeah, I really hope we don't see like a shit ton of prospects come back.
Yeah. By the way, I've heard if Michigan loses McCarthy to the draft, the guy that they're really interested in talks, I don't know how likely he would be to come because apparently he's really liking Michigan State as well. Dante Moore's from the Michigan area, big time 5-star recruit, committed to UCLA this past year, is transferring. So that wouldn't be a bad replacement option if JJ were to commit.
Yeah, I could see it.
He was the number 2 quarterback to Arch, actually. Dante Moore.
Oh yeah, Dante Moore from UCLA. Sorry,
he's transferring.
Oh, is he transferring from UCLA?
Yeah, well, he's from Michigan, so it's been rumored Michigan State, Michigan would be in the talks for him.
One thing I don't understand is these quarterbacks that are these like highly decorated prospects that go to schools that aren't in their area, and then they go to a new school that is in their area after they transfer away. Why didn't you just go there in the first place?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
did you just want the NIL money from UCLA and then you go get new NIL money from Michigan after?
For starters, to be fair, he had the opportunity to get playing time right away at UCLA, whereas with Michigan, it's like even if you go to Michigan, you're sitting behind JJ McCarthy no matter what.
That's true, but like, did he play this year?
Dante Moore, yeah, he did.
Okay.
Wait, so Aiden Childs is projected to go to Michigan State now, which is really interesting. A lot of transfer portal news. I'm pretty excited. Brock Vandegrift actually ended up at Kentucky. He's not very good, but he ended up there.
Oh, dude. Maria just texted me. She said they're on course 4 out of 10.
Oh my god!
At her Christmas party right now. She's like scallops, razor clams, beef tartare, and roasted beets so far, is what she said.
Dude, I've had 4 hash browns all day since I had eggs at 10
Not exactly the most fine dining course options for you, eh?
Well, no
beef tartare and scallops, just some fucking dirty like Dotker Oetker fucking whatever things.
I had 3 eggs in the morning when I woke up, which was at woke up technically more so at 8 a.m. because I was up for so long.
Okay, so we're going J-Watch, right?
Yeah. I had a what's it called? A grilled tuna melt. Like the little fucking like hand grills?
I can't take this Justin over that Justin. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I don't care if it's correlated. Can't do it. Can't take Justin Watson over Justin Jefferson in anything related to fantasy football. I can't do it.
But so after I recorded the wide receiver video, then like the little handheld grills, like the little like portable ones.
Yeah.
So I seared myself a fucking tuna melt. So I had that when did I message you? I was having that like 12:31.
Yeah.
And then since then I've had 4 hash browns that I just popped in because I was too lazy to actually make a meal prior to hopping on here.
Yeah, I mean you're bro eating like my hungover ass in college.
Speaking of college, I saw a tweet that was going around. It was like, my husband has this in case he has a shower beer, and it was like a little like garbage bag or whatever, and it was filled with a bunch of empty beer cans in the shower. Remember, I told you the story when I was in uni. I made like a beer pyramid of beer cans. Did I tell you about that? Yeah. Good times.
Yeah,
really.
I had a pretty authentic Montreal smoked meat poutine today, and it was quite good.
Oh, that sounds.
If you guys, so I'm sure you guys are American and think poutine's disgusting. I honestly don't even understand how that computes for you guys because like your country is like eat everything with gravy, fries, and cheese to begin with. So I'm like, I don't understand.
Who are they to judge on that?
Like, how do you not like poutine? It seems like something that all Americans should love. But at the same time, like, it's so weird to me that you guys don't make the connection that it would be good.
Bro, I saw something on Twitter, like literally before we streamed. I saw a girl post her like Chipotle order. It just showed up in like the For You on Twitter, and it's like I pretended my name was like Lil Durk, and like this is what they gave me, and it was just like this full Chipotle bowl for like this fucking girl. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, I had less Chipotle in my bowl when we were in Buffalo, and I had to eat it in segments because I couldn't eat all that food at once. I'm just thinking in my head, I'm like, I'm a big fucking guy. I'm a fucking 255, 260 pound fucking dude. And I couldn't finish that bowl. You mean to tell me that fucking 140 pound girl eats that in one sitting? I'm like, how? How? I think it would make Americans soft, like, relax there, Pooh Bear.
No, I don't know how you guys could even like get out of your chairs after Chipotle bowls like that, bro.
Dude,
Like
I ate half of my order at once. You remember how groggy I was?
Oh yeah, it was grimy, dude. You know what I'm gonna be doing, by the way, next week?
What's up?
I'm meal prepping and bringing the food to Buffalo.
Smart.
I can't do it. I'm sorry to you guys that are American. Like I cannot fucking eat your food. I can't do it.
Bro.
So I'm literally I'm gonna make like chicken breasts and rice and vegetables and literally throw it into my glassware containers and put it into a cooler and drive up to Buffalo and put it in the fridge of our hotel room and eat that.
Yeah, Brock can hit 2 bowls in one sitting, 6'2", 160. It's crazy. Please don't let it. Oh yeah, you guys. If you don't know the story from Texas,
Danny was using the bathroom. Let's just put it that way.
I was scared. We were lucky that was a Sunday night game because I was taking up that John.
Yeah, it was brutal. Anyways, yeah, Caleb could still hang back another year, dude. That would be brutal for the class. That wouldn't happen. I think Caleb of all players would be one to come out for sure. I think Drake would actually be more of a concern to go back to school than Caleb.
I think neither.
Maybe Caleb is because he's getting more NIL money, but honestly, like, I don't know. I don't think Marvin. I think Marvin, Caleb, and Drake are safe, but everybody else is at risk potentially.
Pooh Bear, there's like what 7 Canadian hockey teams. Like I'm not shocked.
Yeah. Also, like 90% of the NHL is Canadian players. So
yeah, I mean, cool. Like, yeah, it's an American team, but when it's 70+% of the roster is Canadian.
Also, the Leafs are winning it this year, so don't worry about it.
Come on, you guys are gonna get first rounded.
No, we're not. We broke the streak last year.
Yeah, this year
we got over the hump, and then this year is going to be the year that we win.
To be fair,
though, no cap. Like the Leafs team, construction wise, is the best that it's been, I think. And I know I sound like a Cowboys fan right now, but it is the way that their defense,
we're trolling back.
Defense is structured. Their goaltending this year, their coaching has been pretty solid. Like the way that their young players like Nyes and Robertson, all those guys have stepped up. I actually think the Leafs are in the best position they've ever been in to win the Stanley Cup this year.
Pooh Bear, by the way, don't worry, we're trolling back.
Oh yeah.
I honestly don't hate that take either, for the record. And how funny would it be for sports media if the year that the Cowboys broke their Super Bowl streak was the year that the Leafs broke their Stanley Cup streak? Could you imagine the chaos on Twitter if that were to happen? Again, one outcome I would love as a Cowboys fan, the other as a Habs fan I would fucking despise, but that would just
be a Leaf fan already, dude.
No.
I was at the Bell Center last night for a Habs game. Wasn't that special of an atmosphere, I got to tell you.
You're talking about one of the worst 8 teams in the league. Of course, not everybody's going to be jammed.
Also, they played the #1 seed in the NHL.
They got demolished.
Yeah. You see Byfield's goal? Did you look it up after? Oh, it was nasty. No, I watched it. I was right there.
Which one? He had 2.
The first one.
Yeah, no, disgusting. I told you, but I think I told Fled as well, but I actually went to uni at Guelph with his older sister. And I remember when he got drafted, she posted like on her story of him getting drafted, like the draft party and 6. So it was really cool. And obviously, it's super cool now knowing that he's developed into the player he has, because people were talking about like, oh, big physical forward, like when's he going to take that leap? And I'm just glad he's a point per game player now, and he's 20 years old now. So very, very, very cool to see Byfield really step up to the plate. And I mean, now he's a first liner on. If they're not the favorite in the West, I definitely think they're a top 3 team in the West with the Kings. I really, really like what the Kings got going.
Yeah. By the way, Marvin winning the Bolitnikov over Malik Neighbors is absolute absurd. Brock Bowers won the Mackey Award. Who's shocked? Not me. Ollie Gordon won Doak Walker, which is kind of insane. Oh, Tavondre Sweat. Let's go. Hook 'em horns. Hey. He won the Outland Trophy. Let's go.
Oh yeah. Danny switched from the Dodgers to I'm a Sox fan.
Yeah, can we get an Ohtani watch? Do we have any news?
Yeah, what is going on there? For the record, by the way, I'm obviously a more of a baseball casual, but
I'm an utter baseball casual. I will only watch the Blue Jays if we're in the playoffs or about to be in the playoffs.
To be fair, Brock knows I've watched some 9 innings in the regular season. And then Bush is going to say get a life, but
Yeah, actually I'm sorry if you're watching regular season baseball games, like you either love baseball or you have no life. There's only two.
Probably leaning on the latter there, but real talk though with the Sox, like the only chance that they can even have to potentially compete in the division is if they sign Yamamoto at this point. Like you don't know who Yamamoto is, but I know Flat.
I only know who Ohtani is because he's like the Travis Hunter of the MLB.
Oh, dude, the thing with Ohtani, he's not going to pitch next year, but even if he doesn't pitch, he's still going to be one of the best hitters in the league.
Why isn't he going to pitch?
He got Tommy John.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. You got Tommy John, but regardless, though, when he's back,
but am I correct? He's not. He's an ace. No,
he's a freak. Yeah. When he's healthy, he's one of the top 5 pitchers in the league, and he's also one of the top 5.
Crazy as shit. He's literally like I know he's modern day Babe Ruth is what everybody keeps saying about him.
Yeah, Flet. That is very true as well.
What if I love baseball and have no life? That's correct.
Gets really dry, dude. That's what I mean. I watched the Sox in the regular season before the NFL and hockey and basketball started.
See, this is how I know you have no life, because in the summer, like, go outside, bro. Like that's where I'm at. With like summer is not a time for sports. Like that's where I'm at. Go outside.
I could
touch grass.
Yo, you want to hear how freaky it was? Okay, so there was the other night. I think all the hockey games were done. Because there was no 10 p.m. game for whatever reason. And there was no NBA on that night. And I remember I was with my cousin and Marco was with us, and we were watching cricket. We were watching cricket and just having a blast with it. We had some drinks in it. I'm telling you what, man, you have a couple drinks, you could put any sport on. It's the most fascinating
Danny would
thing. Watch
fucking Japanese foosball if you let him, dude. Like, there's no way this guy wouldn't watch any sport that you let him watch. I went to college with this guy who used to bet on like Serbian tennis. And I'm like, that's this kind, and he would watch it in class. And I swear to God, this was like you.
Serbian tennis?
Yeah, he would just watch like random ass sports. He'd be like, what can I bet on right now? And he would just like bet on it and watch it during class.
Well, dude, you know how much of a golf watching golf degenerate I became when our draft order for our league was based off how.
Oh, dude, watching golf is only fun if you bet on it. Golf, there's nobody that actually watches golf for the fun of it. No, I'm convinced. Yeah. My dad watches golf and he falls asleep in front of the TV like within an hour.
It's probably that's probably
this is like during the Masters too, like not like a regular old PGA event. Like he's literally watching the Super Bowl of golf and he'll fall asleep.
Did you mention your dad's like a scratch golfer or something?
No. My dad's not that good.
Fair.
No, he's like a 10 hand.
Someone I know was like a scratch. It was just like fucking nuts.
I went to school with a guy who's like he's a golf instructor. He's like he borderline semi-pro golfer. R Gravy says PPR sit one. Eckler, Gibbs, Moss, Chase, Devontae, Nico, and Waddle. Jesus. I heard there's some weather concerns in that Texans game. No.
Yeah, and not to mention he would be my lowest regardless because he plays the Jets. But
yeah, that would probably be my sit there. I wouldn't say it's outrageous to say that you would sit.
I'm not sitting Waddle.
Yeah, like I can't sit Waddle or Devontae given the team totals in those games. Chase,
not sitting Chase.
You're not sitting Chase.
Eckler, you're not sitting Moss.
All in my top 8 running backs this week.
If you wanted to argue Nico versus Eckler, I will understand that.
I think the argument is Nico versus Waddle, to be honest. I think that's the closest.
Oh, I'd much rather Waddle than
I would too, but Waddle has produced like a wide receiver 3 this year, and Nico has outproduced him all season.
Fair, but at the end of the day, they're playing the Titans, who are the easiest matchup on the matchup chart, and are implied for over 30
Oh,
points.
I know. Trust me. But also, it's hilarious that these references are in the chat.
Punishing the porcelain. Yeah, destroying the Jack and the John. Yeah, let's go.
It's our game and always will be. So does anybody actually believe that in the United States that baseball is your game?
Oh, baseball. It's football. It's not even close, right?
Yeah, like I like playing baseball.
Baseball was fun. You know what?
Baseball is a fun game to play. It just is horrid to watch, and including in person, by the way.
I still remember, I think it was in grade 11 or 12, myself and like 9 or 11 of my friends just went out to the field and just brought our mitts, brought our bats. I remember I was just absolutely raking. And again, like if I played a real pitcher who knew how to throw curveballs and shit, obviously that wouldn't be the case. But I was getting sent meters right down the middle, and I'm a pretty powerful dude, and I know how to use my fucking hips. So I was sending those bad boys to the fucking yard.
Yeah. You want to? I got $5 left. You want to build out a pick 'em here?
Sure, let's do it for this week.
Yeah, I'm saying Heat Seeker. Like we're
Do it.
we're looking to torch $5 right now.
Let's go. So we're making like
We'll
a
five,
six leg,
five pick 'em of
five legger. Yeah,
only
sorry, my bad.
of only spicy ones.
All right, go down. I don't like the Houston Jets game just because of the game environment.
Yeah, I mean, I actually don't mind. Like, I already.
What's Noah Brown's?
The fumbles lost at
Hey.
2.75x in a rain game to me seemed like free cash.
I dig that. I also hear me out. Noah Brown 0.5 touchdowns at 2.25x is very interesting. He's going to play.
Yeah. Do we want to do
body
that?
receiver.
Let's roll. Okay, we'll roll with that. Let's roll to a different game now.
Wait, was that Evans over under touchdown 1.25x?
It was, yeah.
I mean, he scored 7 touchdowns in his last 7 games.
So it's free cash, is what you're saying?
Not free because the Atlanta Falcons do play defense, but I really like that. He scored 7 touchdowns last 7 games.
Algier to score is 1.25 or whatever. Kyle Pitts should be 8.25x.
There any Cowboys lines? You got $1? Let me see if there's Cowboys.
Jared
like, is
Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs,
like
1.25 to score.
Is there like a Jalen Tolbert line if we're getting gutty?
1.5 receptions for David Montgomery seems interesting as well.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I'm curious.
Amon-Ra to score seems free to me.
I love that. Is there a Tolbert line? I actually
2.75x for JMO is not bad too.
Yeah, that's solid. Oh, there you go. I mean, let me just do this quick.
Let's see what you got for.
Wow, look at the camera difference.
1.5x for Justin Fields to run in a touchdown is also interesting.
So actually, by the way, real quick, we did get a super. Mind checking my question in chat. Please add why. 10-man half PPR, Mahomes, Achane, Jacobs, Waddle, Olave. Need win to make you off. So sorry. So what's the question? Oh, do I trade? Okay, I thought you were listening to your team. Do I trade Jacobs, Cook, Sutton for Gibbs and Collins? Yes, with ease.
So I would rather have Gibbs than Jacobs the rest of the season, but it's probably a wash.
No, I would much rather Gibbs personally.
I wouldn't much rather Gibbs. I would
a half PPR. I guess you could say it's a wash. A half PPR, a full PPR. I'd rather Gibbs by a good amount.
Nico Collins over Cook and Sutton, I think, is probably Nico Collins. So yeah, I think Gibbs and Collins here is probably my answer. But I think Jacobs has quite a bit of value still.
And real quick, not to mention, because it's a 10-man, you can find a lot of good waivers in a 10-man, and because you already have a deep bench, I really love this option of consolidating.
Also, baseball is America's pastime because it's so fucking boring and it passes time by watching it. So that's why it's the pastime, not the sport. Well, they only use that word because nobody likes baseball. Sorry if you like baseball. It's just true. And I say this as somebody that's going to fully watch the Jays this year if we get Shohei Ohtani. Like, I will watch the Jays more this year if that happens.
Bush, can you check me the Cowboys-Eagles game lines? I'm curious what they're listed at. Because if there's a Tolbert touchdown for like 2.5 to 3+ X, I actually...
What is a Moss? Okay, Moss touchdown doesn't have an X on it.
Pierce at 2.5 is pretty interesting too. Big play.
Chase at 1.25 is very interesting.
Very.
Higgins 1.75.
A lot of 1 PMers, eh?
Yeah.
That might be the first time
I've seen 2x is crazy to me.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that.
Is that free? Like, is that free or is it just me?
He's been so
bad. 2x for Cup.
Yeah, fuck. This your last leg?
Yeah, like I can eliminate. I already used the Zach Wilson one, so if I find a better one, I'll take that one out. But in a rain game with Zach Wilson, dude, like, I don't know, fumbles lost at 2.75, like that seems pretty fucking free to me.
Fair. What are the Cowboys Eagles lines?
Yeah, I'm getting to it. I'm looking through them.
Fair. I thought yeah, fair.
2.5x for a Miles Sanders touchdown. Chuba Hubbard touchdown seems also cool. I'm going to actually take the Evans one out because I like this one better.
Which one?
Chuba Hubbard 1.5x.
Really, eh? Fair enough.
Yeah, dude. The Saints in the last 5 games are allowing the 4th most fantasy points to running backs. And Chuba Hubbard has 20 fantasy points or more in his last 2 games and is over 65% of the snaps in both. Like he's been like literally a workhorse. So I think that one's pretty nice. What else do we got here? Okay. Well, no. Madison touchdown's not bad. 275x for Chandler touchdowns, not terrible. 15x for Jefferson to score seems also quite free.
I hope not. I play against him in my home league.
Okay, I'm gonna stop being a psycho and take Noah Brown out of here.
He's gonna score now. Watch, he's gonna score.
Yeah, he probably will. You're right.
By the way, for the record, I have Noah Brown in my home league, and I have Justin Jefferson I'm facing against.
Yeah, Adams is not a bad one too. 1-5.
Robert Spillane, baby, let's go. Well, someone called him like an integral part of the Raiders' future, I think, or something, like a building block on the defense. Robert Spillane.
That's where we're at with Robert Spillane. What can I say?
Fucking right, baby. Shout out Spicy, your boy, the building block.
Yeah. What about Malcolm Kuntz?
Oh, fucking right. I hope that guy's up to good things. Has he even
Malcolm
played?
Kuntz, 1.75x for Cortland Sutton also is quite nice.
Malcolm Kuntz. Is he still on the Raiders? He is
Which
on.
one do you believe in the
Raiders.
least of these options? Probably the fumbles lost, right?
Cup.
I'm going to take the fumbles lost out.
Fair.
You're least on Cup, eh?
Yeah.
Is he a bum?
16 implied points for the Rams this week, and I'm just not sure he's a good player right now, to be honest. I think the ankle's really hurting him.
All right, I'll take Cup out. We'll maybe get a Cowboy one in here.
Let's go. Imagine they give plus money for CD.
I was hoping they'd give plus money for Eckler there.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Steph Diggs plus
1.25.
money is pretty insane.
I do have Stephon Diggs in my home league too.
I think that's pretty crazy to me. Also, I'm the Gabe Davis whisperer, and 175 is screaming at me right now.
Hope not. That's the only fucking bill I don't have.
How much would this pay out? $500
for $5
on a $5 bet. If I insured it, it would be $61.50 for 4 of them, and $250 if they all hit.
That's solid too.
Do I insure or do I go for gold?
For $5, you may as well rip her.
Honestly, I think this is destined to have a torch in it. I
don't mind that. Fair.
This is destined to have one torch in here, and I'm gonna make sure that it's not gonna be the one that screws me.
Oh, are we looking at the Cowboys?
No, I don't even care. I like these ones.
Can we just see those ones then? I just want to see them.
Well, this is the entry. If anybody wants to copy it and go for the Scorcher. It literally said, "You're entering a Scorcher. Are you sure?"
Dude, they're trying to reverse psychology you into taking it back.
Jesus.
That means it's a winner, bro, because they're trying to reverse psychology you into taking it back.
Oh, yeah. So, Swift squeaky wheel game is pretty intriguing.
I don't like it because they're going to get to the 1 yard line. It's going to be a Hurts tush push.
I think it's a 20-yard score for Swift.
We're not going to allow a 20-yard run, to be honest.
Dallas Goedert is interesting for
Eagles lines. Like, what the fuck? There we go. Pollard's just a straight even. Wow, interesting. Yeah. CD's a straight even.
Straight even.
Cooks is a 1.5.
Ferguson's probably.
So they don't
thought he'd be a 2. If he was a 2, I'd be interested in him.
They don't have a Tolbert line listed. Hey, haters. I'm kidding.
Rico Dowdle's a 3x, which is as a Tony Pollard manager, we tend to get fleeced.
Dude, when he scored that screen pass, I was crying.
Anyways, we can probably wrap this back up here. We've been going for 2.5 hours, so we might.
Your face looks humongous compared to that.
Yeah, I mean, you're a floating head like usual. That's typically what happens.
Look at someone's got a screenshot that. Look at the difference. You look massive, and I look like a little thing.
Yeah. Also, Flett and Brock going back and forth. Like, you guys watch hockey. So we do. Hockey is the greatest. I'm sorry, but like, if you're American and you don't like hockey, I honestly don't know what there is to not like about hockey, to the point that I'm like, why doesn't everybody like hockey? Like, it's so enjoyable to watch.
It's very enjoyable.
It has the least amount of commercials of any sport, and it's not even particularly close. And it's playoffs are some of the best you're going to see for sure. I think the NHL
Uh,
playoffs are better than any other sport, to be honest.
You
And
mentioned less
it's
commercial.
also one of the best live games to go to for sports.
Quick note, you mentioned the least commercials. There's one sport that has less commercials because there's only one break. It's soccer.
Yeah, but the whole game is a commercial because nobody cares. So
Oddly enough, so once I finished my wide receiver video, before I edited the quarterbacks, I finished watching the second half of the Napoli Juve game. 1-0 game, but it was some fantastic soccer. I will tell you that right now. Great header. Juve takes a lead. Nice header from Gotti. We love it. We love it.
Yeah. Cup 10 targets. Yeah,
Go
dude, I
Juve.
took Cup out of there. You know, Cup's scoring now for sure. Noah Brown and Cup both going to score.
I hope Noah Brown scores. I have him. And for the record, the guy I'm playing has CJ Stroud, so that'd be a nice little blockage.
Yeah. Hockey's great, man. Hockey is 100%. Like, hockey was definitely my favorite sport most of my life, and then football took over. But
That was the same with me.
hockey's like, I love, because football's our job, right? So I like that hockey gets to stay my like pastime, and I don't have to follow it intently because it's not my job. I can just watch the Leafs and that's it, because that's the only team I care about.
I'm a complete psychopath to the point where, like, in terms of the Habs, in terms of the Lakers, maybe not the Habs now because they're not doing very good, but like when they're good, and the Lakers obviously are good, like I'm watching content on them. I'm seeing breakdowns. I'm trying to understand.
I have one Leafs podcast that I listen to semi often, not like a like I don't listen. It's just a Locked On Leafs podcast because it has Mickey or whatever his name is. I can't remember his first name. His Twitter, I know his Twitter handle. DeStefano or whatever his name is.
Got you. Yeah.
But yeah, I like him. I don't know. I just like watching because with hockey versus football, like football, there's way more talk around it because there's less games. But with hockey and basketball and baseball, they play so often that like there's not as much talking heads about it.
Yeah, until you get to the playoffs and it gets pretty hectic.
Yeah.
Especially NBA, dude. You're not on like NBA, like you don't see NBA social media, but that shit gets so toxic come playoff time. People are freaks. Like
playoff hockey is the best when you get two teams that hate each other, man. Like,
yeah.
And also, I think of the four major sports, the sport that still has teams that absolutely despise each other the most is hockey. You get the odd like Ravens Steelers game that's real physical because they hate each other and that kind of thing. You know, Saints Bucks, like Mike Evans is throwing punches and shit. But hockey, dude, when Calgary and Edmonton play, or whatever,
Habs Bruins,
Habs Bruins, Leafs Bruins, like Vegas and what's the other team? Vegas and Colorado hate each other. Like there's a lot of good rivalries in the NHL, and I think they're like not soft about it too. Like there's a lot of like football is pretty soft now. Like think about the 90s rivalries and the early 2000s rivalries. There's like none of those going around.
The ones that speak out to mind right now, maybe because I'm a Cowboys fan, but Cowboys Eagles, there's a lot of hatred. I think 49ers Cowboys now has built up a lot of hatred now because of the playoff games. That's what I would argue.
Compare the hockey hatred.
I agree. A lot more culture.
The football, like what football used to be.
Agreed. Yes.
Well, dude, I remember the Falcons and Saints used to want to kill each other in our division. Like they still don't like each other, but
like the old 2011 Falcons versus Saints matches were legendary.
Like the Ravens and Steelers used to like, and the Bengals and Steelers, like they were brutal games.
Yeah, no, I
still have the Patriots and Colts, like they were physical games. Like it was way more fun. And I remember like, if you think even way back in the day, like, dude, watch the Raiders and Chargers play from the 70s or the Raiders,
like the Cowboys and Steelers.
70s, like, or the Cowboys, Steelers, the Steelers and
Raiders,
and Houston Oilers were really bad too, and the Raiders.
Yeah, no, there was some really fun rivalries, but I'm glad you mentioned that with hockey real quick to address the hockey hatred for those of you that don't watch hockey a lot. It's so much more cultural based now than any other modern sport. A lot of the stuff that applied in the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s in hockey relatively still applies today. A lot of the unwritten rules still happen. A lot of the, for example, you just hit our star player, ahead of time. And once you get out of the box, you are fighting the other team's goon. It's just unwritten rules. You fuck around, you're going to find out. Then we're going to go back to our boxes and we're going to be done with it. I love that aspect of hockey where even if it's not written down, even if it's not a real rule, they'll follow a lot of that cultural stuff that's been taught for years. And same thing applies, for example, when you talk to, for example, even contract status, right? When it comes to hockey versus, football, basketball, any other sport. In hockey, the aspect of, oh, I'm going to take a pay cut so my buddy can get paid, that's a lot more common in hockey than it is in other sports, you notice. Like, for example, the Bruins have 3 of their top players when Bergeron was still playing, had 3 of their top players signed for less than $21 million per year, which is unfathomable in hockey. And each of them respectively took a pay cut to sign the other. Whereas in football, you can bend the cap. In the NBA, you can bend the cap. In baseball, there is no cap. So it's mostly just large-scale bidding wars where each of these players are trying to get the maximum. In hockey, it's like, oh, I don't mind taking $8 million instead of my $10 million just to make sure my team can sign guys around me. And I really like that old cultural aspect to it, where that was a shared sentiment in football back then. That was a shared sentiment in basketball, but nowadays it doesn't really exist.
Yeah, I mean, especially in basketball and baseball, it doesn't exist. In the NFL, there's still some remnants of it left, but good cap guys in football, like there is no cap when you have a good cap guy or whatever. Sure. I also the other thing that why Canada has such a popular hockey like fan base, I think too, is think about how college football is for you in the United States. That's how junior hockey is for us. Yeah. Like I can go watch the Kitchener Rangers for like $15 and it's the same level of hockey as you guys would have in college football relative to the NFL. It's the step before the NHL in junior hockey, and it's cheap, and there's like a million different junior hockey leagues. There's the OHL, the QMJHL, the WHL. Like they have all these like junior hockey leagues, just like they have in college football, like the SEC and the Pac-12. Like it's the same type of situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit different because with college football, it's more so like on a national scale, whereas with hockey, it's kind of like a local thing. In college, I would say maybe like an FCS school, where if you're located near that team, you will support that team. I honestly kind of view it the way Americans view high school basketball. Where in high school basketball in the States, like you're getting top teams traveling to play other top teams. There's a lot more culture around it. People are a lot more willing to pack in and watch. Whereas in Canada, that's kind of like how it is with junior hockey.
Yeah. And I mean, what Brock and Flett are talking about, like hockey is clearly not as big as
scale-wise, no.
Yeah. And NFL, NBA, and MLB like absolutely crush hockey in terms of like money like they make. Like it's probably never gonna catch it. But I don't know. The product to me has not changed as much in hockey as it has in other sports. And like people argue that NHL has gotten soft and shit. But I would say like if we scale the NFL softness scale versus hockey, it's like the NFL is like 80% more soft now than it used to be, and hockey's like 20% more soft than it used to be.
Yeah, no, completely. It's actually funny because +2, I'm sure I mean, we talked about, for example, when Logan Stanley was on Winnipeg. We've talked about a lot of players that like grew up in our area that like we knew back then that play in the NHL. It's like it's a lot more common for us to talk about that with hockey players than it is any other sport, because with the NBA, like, yeah, you could talk about Jamal Murray. I can talk about Shea. With the NFL, I could talk about a few guys that I played against. You can talk about a couple local guys as well. But realistically, the majority of the people that we know that would make it to the AHL or the NHL level.
I went to high school with 3 NHL players. 3.
Exactly.
And there's one guy from my entire area that's in the NBA, and Jamal Murray.
Yeah. You hit a 3 in his face, though.
I did. Yeah. He was also 14, and he wasn't trying. But
hey, they don't have to know that.
I did hit a 3 in his face one time. That was pretty fun.
Sure.
But at the same time, there's we could name 15 NBA players from the GTA and Ontario. Yeah. Like that's the max. Like there's thousands of Easy. OHL and future NHLers that are from our area.
Well, even if you're like not even just NHL, like just talking pro. You pull up to a shinny at your nearby link. And for the record, for those of you that don't know what shinny is, it's basically you go, well, it's pawn hockey, but also like when you go to arenas and they organize shinny, pick up hockey, right? You go, you sign up for the time and you just play at that time. You go to a shinny in hockey, like in Canada, You're getting guys that are playing in Sweden. You get guys that are playing in Latvia. You're getting guys that are playing all over in Europe.
Because my dad played junior B when he was in high school and shit. Like most of the people that go to like shinnies and shit are like they're played in the OHL probably when they were younger too.
And you realize the skill gap real quickly. If you get a guy that's like decent at hockey playing with his buddies and you go up against a guy that's played any type of high level hockey, they're skating circles around you. Like, it's not even funny. Like, they're almost like doing it out of humor. Like it's like a conditioning skate for them because
it's wild. There's a guy in my neighborhood that played junior B hockey, and even junior B is like pretty low level. Like it'd be equivalent to like somebody who played like at like FCS. Delaware in college football or something, like not a good college, like FCS school or something like that. But if you played pickup football against the guy, you would realize he played college football. Like that's what it's like playing pickup hockey against these guys.
And I would say like, it's different, but like same thing with basketball. If anybody's ever played any type of rep basketball, you play against them, they're going to kick your shit in. If they play against someone who's played college basketball, they're going to get the shit kicked in. There's levels to it. And I think it was Brian Scalabrine that made this point. It's like one of my favorite quotes of all time. But basically, he was playing against these like high level high school recruits going into college. He was like running this camp, and they're like, "Oh, you're a bum in the NBA. Let me play you one-on-one." And he is like literally skunking all of them, 21-0, 21-0, 21-0. And they're like, "What the hell is going on? Like, how are you doing this? Like, how are you this much better?" And he says to them, "Remember, I'm closer to LeBron James than you guys are to me."
Yeah,
and it's true.
Funny. It's the same way in like league and Rocket League players. It's like you play somebody in Diamond and they're not even that much better than you relative to like a challenger versus like a top player.
It's not, or like, for example, like I'm pretty high in Rocket League. I'm a Grand Champ 1. If I played against a Grand Champ 3, they would mollywop me. If an SSL played against a Grand Champ 3, the SSL would mollywop him. If a pro played against a sort of bog standard SSL, they would mollywop him. It's just levels. Once you get to a certain level, it gets exponentially harder to get to that next rung.
Yeah, if I played, I'm literally in plat, like I'm plat 2 or something. And if I played somebody diamond 1, like I would lose, but I would like, they would get their shit kicked in by a challenger, like hard.
Yeah, I could imagine. And then you keep scaling it up. It gets ridiculous.
Yeah. Anyways, we're off the rails completely.
It's 2.5 hours or 2:45 in. So if you guys are
like somehow people are still in here, I think we're just like basically talking at this point. But yeah, I mean, there was fantasy football talk about half an hour ago. We've been on a tangent for a while since then, but yeah, if you guys definitely like go back and watch the playoff best ball drafts, they're a ton of fun. And there is the playoff best ball master sheet that is going to be on the site, and I'm going to update every week. So if you guys are doing these drafts, and also because I want to follow for my own purposes, because I'm doing a bunch of drafts now, and then once regular Best Ball Mania drafts advance next week, I'll have more money in my account to do when we're in Buffalo. So that'll be a lot of fun as well. And then of course me, Danny, Flett, and then my friend Arnold will be at the Cowboys Bills game next week, which hopefully is a game that both teams are coming off of a win, because that would be fun.
Hear me out. I mean, last time we were in Texas, we met Chris Godwin's dad. What if we meet another player's dad?
Yeah, hopefully we meet a player and not their dad.
That would, I mean, who knows? Maybe they get us in touch, sign memorabilia. I don't know.
Yeah, I would, we need like a niche dad to meet. Like, no, like Chris Godwin was kind of a niche dad. Like,
yeah,
we need like Dalton Kincaid's dad or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Jake
gotta be
Ferguson.
Like yeah, I guess it would probably be an away player because they'd be staying in the hotel. So like, we'll need like Brandon Cooks' dad or something like that.
Facts. That would be lit, by the way.
Yeah. CeeDee Lamb's girlfriend that got the phone taken away from her.
I'd be shocked if she's still around.
That's the only thing. Like, CeeDee Lamb is actually so hilarious, because I think it would have been funny if his career washed out and that's what all he was ever remembered for.
Yeah, if he was Henry Ruggs.
Yeah, well, I mean, Henry Ruggs did some other things to be remembered for, but
that's
anyway. Yeah. So again, if you guys are interested, check out Underdog. Use the promo code FSE. The spiel by now. 100% back up to $100, and make sure to do these playoff best ball drafts because they are a ton of fun. And yeah, all good stuff. We need Reggie Gilliam's dad, Deron Bland's dad. Yeah, that's an interesting one right there.
Last thing I'll say, because I have to address it. Still iconic that Flet beat me in Madden that one game, just feeding Reggie Gilliam out of the flats, and I did not know how to fucking defend it, man. He was going off.
I still find it hilarious that you beat Zerk in Madden. The guy literally is
That
a
was
Madden YouTuber.
hilarious, dude.
I'm convinced that all the Madden YouTubers, minus Vic, because he's a gameplay guy, all stink.
Maybe. I mean, you got to prove it next time we meet up with UD.
I'm not good at Madden though, so I can't like.
I'm not either anymore.
Like I'm not a good Madden player. I'm like okay at the game. Like I'm not that good.
I was
I'm
already
better
washed.
at NHL than I am at Madden.
I was already washed when I played Zerk. At this point, where I haven't touched the game, and like all I do is I'll hop on every now and then, maybe play 2 online verses, and then hop off the game. Like that is my Madden expertise at this point.
Yeah, Madden's on PC. I should probably get it this year because I actually wouldn't mind trying to climb.
Let's do a franchise
in like like franchise mode and like play now because I'm not playing that soul sucking bullshit Ultimate Team game mode anymore because all they do is torture catch and 6-year-olds beat the shit out of you with 99 Randy Mosses every time you play online and you get 10 coins for winning a game.
I'm not even gonna hide that. Flet, last couple times we played, have beaten the crap out of me. Like I'm just so cooked at Madden at this point. To be fair to Flet, though, don't let them forget that I did cook your ass in NHL. So for the record,
also I would not want to run into anybody related remotely to Joe Mixon because I talk so much shit about the guy. I would probably get killed.
Scared. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah. I literally, I mean, well, I know what you were gonna go with. Nixon himself would probably do a number on me. We've all seen the video.
Yeah.
But anyways, thanks for joining us. It's like 10 o'clock on a Friday night. The running back tier list video will be live tomorrow, and we will be live. I'll be back. I'm flying home tomorrow, so I'll be home for Sunday morning as well. So make sure to bring your questions and all that good stuff. But yeah, appreciate you guys for staying in here, tapping in. Take it easy. Like the stream. All that good stuff. Take it easy.
Take care.